Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Gene's a big timer, a social misfit. Clueless to the title of the biggest fuskeg hits. Chuck Munchie's goons have the last say. So thanks for your time, Mr. Mayo. Danger likes his cold ones and he likes his bears. But this is Rochester, cute Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
He's critical of Sean, he's critical of Al. And of course he married Sandy, cause she's Italian. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Question I have for you right off the top, Gino. Is this the best sports weekend on the calendar?
I thought you were going to say, is this the best sports weekend ever? I honestly, look, we are a baseball town. And understand that, hey, when the Yankees weren't making a deep postseason run, we're not going to talk as much because we want to talk about the teams you care about. We're not going to talk about Rangers Diamondbacks necessarily, but you factor in Yankees Mets, Bills on Monday night, Penn State USC, Ohio State Oregon,
Texas Oklahoma.
Oh, we got Dodgers Padres game 5 tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Amerks opening night tonight.
Mm-hmm. That might be the best sports weekend on the calendar.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Only have the Sabres tomorrow night.
You had to mention them, didn't you?
Well, they are, yeah.
I don't throw the term hero around lightly, but somebody in this room did watch last night's game, so you didn't have to.
We should have been on the same page, because so did I.
Damn it.
So did I.
So
I was doing work, had it on, scoreless, and it's a comfort thing, right? There's Dunleavy, and you hear him and Razor, and, the MSG music, and like, okay, this feels good. And then chance after chance after chance after chance, and the first, hey, they score. I'm like, don't hit the goal song. Don't hit the goal song.
They hit the goal song.
You could tell in real time that didn't count.
They hit the goal song anyways. All right, so it's Kickstart My Heart. I mean, that harkens back to
that harkens back to
1990, right? 89, 90, around there.
No, they played that when the team was going to the Cup final.
Oh, I thought the original. I'm talking about when the song originally came out.
Oh, yeah, but I remember they would play that in the arena. That's I'm dating myself when they were going to the final against the Stars and the Goat Hens were.
I skipped school to go buy the Dr. Feelgood CD. I literally cut class to go with my degenerate friends to buy that CD. Very familiar with that song. And didn't realize that was something that they had used as. Was it a goal song or just something?
No,
they
just
played
a
in the
song.
arena?
Yeah, just fire up the crowd,
it's good. I mean, look, that's fine. You only get to play it once last night. I guess just quickly, because we don't want to spend a lot of time talking about something that's depressing as the Sabres, but Kopitar scores twice for the Kings, and all I think to myself is, I kind of feel like that's what the Sabres are missing. A star player, a really, really good player. They have a lot of good players, not great players.
You're selling Kopitar short. He had the natural hat trick.
Oh, he had the three.
He had all three.
I turned it off by then.
Are they trying to build? Okay.
Here's my problem.
Okay.
Dahlin is the captain of your team, and he sucked last night. You can't give up a goal in the third period on a turnover the way he turned it over. You're the freaking captain of the team. You set the tone. Now it's okay? It's okay for you to turn it over and give up a lead? I was so disgusted by that turnover. And I want to believe that this kid is good, that he's a good player, that he's going to be a star for this team in this league. I need to see it. I have yet to see it. There are flashes, there are moments, but he's not on the level of the stars in the NHL, the stars that continue to get their teams to the postseason. Rant over.
He came out 2018. He's 24. I mean, it's go time here, and this isn't anything new. Okay, enough hockey talk, Mike Danger. We got the Bills All right, we're not going to learn today officially, and we didn't learn today. Basically, a walkthrough, which meant, hey, yesterday's injury report, we're going to feed you the same stuff. So with this being a Monday night game, the media wasn't even allowed out at One Bills Drive. They are tomorrow. We'll figure out tomorrow, but I can't tell you anything promising in regards to any of these injuries here. So Bills and Jets, yeah, why don't we go downstate? It's been a week. Dan Laberfeld, Jets Confidential, will join us on the show today.
Love it. He'll be stopping by at 4:25, and we'll get the latest from New York in a week that's been memorable for Jets fans leading up to Monday night here against the Bills. And later this hour at 3:25, we'll check in on your fantasy football lineups. Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy helps you set your lineup for Week 6 and get you a win in your league. That's coming up here in about 20 minutes or so.
I'm asking honestly here, are the Bills a team you avoid altogether, or do you look at this and maybe you're in a pinch because of buys or whatever, and like, you know what, Ty Johnson's on the waiver wire. Let me go get him.
I mean, I don't know that you're going to see Ty Johnson replicate the fantasy success that you've seen out of James Cook at times. To me, it's going to be divided, like between Davis and Johnson. And we're making this assumption because I don't think we're going to see James Cook. I don't think we're going to see Khalil Shakir. I don't think we're going to see Ed Oliver 2 days in a row where they have not practiced. So chances are tomorrow when that practice report comes out or when that final practice happens and they're not participating, yeah, they're not playing on Monday.
Yeah, if I had to sum it up, I would think that. And Ed Oliver, I think with Carter playing the way he is, I think they're going to be okay on the defensive line. It's not going to be like the wide receiver position where you're just throwing your hands up in the air. I think on defense you're going to be okay. If you get wrapped back and all indications are he's cleared concussion protocol and everything seems to be on track for him to return. Taron Johnson as well. That's a huge benefit. Can the Bills defense get a few Aaron Rodgers takeaways? I think that's the best course of action. And I would challenge anybody, whatever your team is, that you want a championship, whether you're a Patriot fan, a Chief fan, a Niner fan, whatever it is, look back at that season, and they weren't all blowout wins. And that's how I'm going to phrase this. Doesn't matter how you do it this week, Danger. This is a divisional opponent. You're not going to win the championship in October. Just win the damn game here. And if it's ugly, it's ugly. And I am anticipating ugly on Monday night.
Are we giving predictions today or Monday? We're doing the heavy lift Monday, leading up to pregame Monday afternoon at 4.
I've made up my mind, and I don't want to just say, hey, tune in on Monday to 3. I'm going to reserve the right, like all of a sudden, hey, Shakir is going, everybody else is going.
But that's not happening. You know that's not happening.
No, and I don't think the Bills magically fix what ails them on offense here in 1 week. I think Josh Allen is in a rut right now. He's part of the problem. So I don't see the Bills scoring enough points in this game. The easy play, in my opinion, is the under, okay? I do think teams get a sugar high, whatever the sport is, when you get a new voice and everybody sits up straighter. And I think the numbers are a little skewed here. Since 2000, teams coming off, or the coach getting fired with the interim coach, are 15-13. You may say, well, that's not really definitive, is it, Gene? I would say that the Jets are not your typical team that fires a head coach. They really aren't. There still is a lot of talent on this team. And since Aaron Rodgers is he's such a jerk, Danger, you know he's going to show up. I have the Jets winning this one 24-13.
Whoa.
Double-digit win for the Jets on Monday night.
24-13 Jets?
If you are a Bill/Yankee fan, you're going to be so disgusted with some of the play at some point, I figure you might just be staying with the Yankee game, whoever they're going to be playing.
I see it differently. And this isn't the first time that you and I aren't in lockstep with our predictions. I'm the one that before the season said, I don't know, the Bills are winning this division. I actually said the Jets, on paper, have a more talented roster.
So you're going to pick the Bills, even though this looks like a spot where they should lose?
I am going to pick the Bills. And I'm going to pick the Bills because I think the Jets are a really bad football team. They are talented. They are a talented football team. They are a rudderless ship. Their coach has been fired. The interim coach is in there. The quarterback is divisive. I don't believe that he has anything left to give, and that you say he's going to show up. Show up and do what? He hasn't looked like Aaron Rodgers for what, 2 years, 3 years? I mean, he missed a year for injury. He doesn't look like the same guy, save for one game against the Patriots. Where he's throwing the ball with a little bit of touch and precision and actually looks competent. I think the Bills' defense is going to stifle that offense. I think they're going to get after Rodgers. And I know that the Jets' defense is a good unit, but I think that Josh Allen figures them out. I think they get it figured out against the Jets. And they do what good teams are supposed to do in the NFL. They bully an inferior opponent. I'm not going to say that they're going to win by double digits, but I can see a 20-17 win for the Buffalo Bills come Monday night.
Okay.
I think
for Bills fans, I hope you're right.
I hope so too. Because if we come back on Tuesday and we're talking about a loss to the Jets after everything that they've been through so far this season and a fired head coach, and I mean, and if they lose it the way they traditionally lose these kind of games, and their loss to the Jets last year was in overtime on a special teams play.
Well, I look back at that Week 1 game. Did the Jets win that, or did the Bills go here? It's the latter. It feels
like that
latter,
when the Bills lose games, save for the game that they lost in Baltimore where they were blown out, that they do it to themselves. And even the Baltimore game, you could say, well, they kind of did it to themselves. They had some momentum going in the second half, and they call that stupid trick play and screws everything up.
Houston, did they do it to themselves?
Second half, they were a better team. They showed up in the second half. Defensively, they woke up. They were good in the second half. They weren't great. They were good in the second half. They forced turnovers in the second half, and they had an opportunity to at least force overtime. They blew it. They did it to themselves. They did it to themselves against the Texans. It's an unforgivable loss. It's akin to the loss to Denver last year, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing, guys? This is just – it should be fundamental stuff that just gets botched. I don't think they do that 2 weeks in a row. And I think Josh Allen can get it figured out against this defense. So I'll go with the Bills 2017. Come on. I'd love to hear your predictions. You can join us at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN. We appreciate you stopping by the Sports Bar. We're at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app. Hear us on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. You can watch the stream, our video stream, on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, also streaming on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. Make sure you like and subscribe while you're there. And we're also on X at The Fan Rochester. That's Elon's Twitter. Greg was great anticipation from Greg today.
Yeah. How do you say in Espanol, I don't get it?
No lo sé?
No lo sé.
I don't know if that's what.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
accurate
or not.
I'm gonna
no comprende?
No lo sé.
No entiendo?
Yeah. Well, Craig, forgive me because this was Greg's tweet, and sometimes you get this. It's like, what did I miss? What did I miss? Greg writing in. Danger and Gene, very excited to listen on today's show, especially what seems to be a monster of a story.
Oh.
Coming up at 3 o'clock. Like, what? Monsters? What did I miss? Scan. Oh, okay. Well, is he referring to Davante Adams following Josh Allen?
What? I have a question. When was the last time a nugget like that actually led to that coming to fruition? We just went through this last week with the same player and the Edgar Allan Poe tweet. Like, what?
Right. It's a giant zero. This is Adams kind of being like Diggs, actually being like DeAndre Hopkins tweeting out Buffalo Soldier lyrics. Oh my gosh, he's coming to the Bills. He's in Toronto. Oh my gosh, he's coming to the Bills. Nobody is reporting anything. I'm sorry. I can't tell you anything is happening.
Do we need Davante Adams watch? Do we need to revisit the Odell Beckham saga? I mean, I feel like nothing will be official until it's official, but him following Josh Allen to me isn't newsworthy. It never leads to anything.
Could we dig out the OBJ watch sounder, just make Davante Adams watch? I mean, is that possible that we could just take out OBJ and produce something that says Davante Adams?
Let me give it my best effort here. Davante Adams! Davante Adams, watch.
Sitting at home.
I like Taco Bell. I have one in my living room. Devontae Adams!
As we're waiting.
No, we're just kind of waiting. Got my hamstring injury. It's the best I can do.
I think the lion makes that the best at the
Oh,
end.
yeah.
It's-
Shotgun shells and lions and America. Devontae Adams watches on in the sports bar. Thanks, Greg. I was offline for a good chunk of today, just head down, getting work done. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, my God, what did I miss? I didn't see any alerts. What did I miss? And, yeah, it turns out if that's what it is, Greg, correct us if we're wrong. If that's what it is, come on now. These are the kinds of things that lead to nothing. They're a zero. It's a nothing.
No, but if you want to get somebody scared in our business, hey, that story. What story? What did I miss? No, there isn't anything to report, Greg.
Greg chiming in. A Diggs fiasco. What is the Diggs fiasco? Now again?
I don't know.
Another one from one of our regulars pointing out something that we're probably not aware of, or something that might not be a big story, or that big of a story. Did he say something about the Bills? Is there not that it matters? Last week was last week, and the Jets are on Monday.
Cardi B is dating Stephon Diggs.
Oh, is that
it?
So we're celebrity gossip. No. So there is a story there. Give us that story, Gino. What do you got there? It looks like it's a credible source.
Stephon Diggs accused of serious sexual assault in bizarre story. I'm going to have to kind of just wade through this, Danger. I don't know if I can make sense of this live on the air.
I did hear the rumor that that Cardi B was cheating on her husband, the guy from Migos, while pregnant with Stephon Diggs. I did hear that rumor, but it was just, from what I understand, a rumor. I don't know that was factual.
This is according to ML Football. And again, allegations, whatever. Chris Blake Griffith has reportedly accused Texans wide receiver Stephon Diggs of drugging him and attempting to have sexual relations with him. This and I don't know who the tweet is, Griffith also alleges that Diggs' brother attacked him in an elevator in an attempt to silence him. Griffith alleges he has proof of all this.
So Diggs drugged another guy, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Okay. Well, I suppose we'll wait for that story to become more widespread. I don't know what kind of a source ML Football is. What is?
Yeah, and this is whoever this guy posting this big long rant. This is the part I can't make heads or tails of live on the air on Insta.
Okay.
So thank you, Greg, and everybody else kind of pointing this out. And yeah, and now there is kind of this hasn't hit the mainstream NFL media yet. So this is not Pro Football Talk. It's certainly not Ian Rappaport. Anything else.
If it does, it'll probably be handled in a certain way, in a sensitive way, because it's not a very savory story. So let them figure out how they want to massage this before they present it to a world of football fans.
Yeah, and gosh.
All right.
Yeah, it's just like whatever this is, it's not exactly radio friendly.
Yeah,
Put it that
all
way.
right.
It's kind of
pretty salacious stuff. We'll get to Andy Behrens next here on the Fan. Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy. We're going to set your Week 6 lineups. Had a good kickoff for Week 6. Lots of points last night between the Niners and the Seahawks, and the Niners get the win last night on Thursday Night Football on Prime. We'll look ahead to Sunday's action, Monday night as well, with the Bills and the Jets, and how to handle some of these injuries for Buffalo. Andy Behrens of Yahoo Fantasy, our guest next on the Fan Rochester.
Lots happening in the sports world, including the Amherst on opening night. New captain Mason Yops on the opponent, Belleville.
The guys that have been here know what to expect. They're a hardworking, physical team. We kind of got to look at them a little bit when we played Ottawa in the preseason. They had a decent-sized group, I think, of this Belleville team, and they played the same way. Hard-nosed, blue-collar type style of hockey, and coaches have done a good job of preparing us to play against this team, and we should be ready.
Don Stevens has your call tonight, beginning at 7 here on the Sports Leader. The Friday injury report for the Buffalo Bills, same as yesterday. That's because the Bills had just a walkthrough today. We will have the call for you Monday night. Our pregame coverage will begin at 4 p.m. Guardians-Tigers tomorrow. That's been moved up to 1 o'clock. That's because of impending weather. Dodgers and Padres tonight play Game 5. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia. Time to look ahead to Sunday's action. Fantasy football. Yahoo Fantasies' Andy Barron stops by for his weekly visit here in the Sports Bar. And before we look ahead, let's look back quickly to what we saw last night, because there's some concern now about who might be running the ball in San Francisco. Andy, your takeaways from the Week 6 kickoff on Prime last night.
First of all, my first takeaway as somebody who is a longtime believer in DK Metcalf, my goodness, he was so close to a monster night. He had one touchdown that he lost because like a toenail was out of bounds, and another touchdown that he lost to one of the most ridiculous and irrelevant penalties I have seen called this year that had no impact on the play. So I'm still reeling from that. I'm still kind of in my feelings about it. The big ongoing storyline from that one is obviously going to be Jordan Mason's shoulder. I didn't think we saw too much from Patrick Taylor Jr. In relief of Mason. He did see the most snaps. It was Isaac Guerrero, the rookie, who actually saw the most carries, and he broke off a big play, the 75-yard run. We saw some really nice moments from him in the preseason too. In that late Raiders game, he also the thing to really know about Guerrero is he tested basically at the top of the charts or off the charts at the scouting combine. Right, he was a 4.3 guy at 220 pounds. His vertical was 41.5 inches. Crazy 3-cone. Like, he's a phenomenal athlete, and you can see it when he's in breakaway situations. So if Mason is limited, Guerrero's really the guy that I'm interested in.
Andy Barron's Yahoo Fantasy joining us on the Sports Bar. Andy, we spend a lot of time on our show talking about the Buffalo Bills from a fantasy standpoint this week, and it certainly does not look promising that James Cook with a turf toe will be playing. This is Jets defense that you can kind of sort of run against. Are you thinking, because maybe these guys are still available in some leagues, either Ty Johnson and or Ray Davis, part one of the question. Part two, or just avoiding the Bills here maybe altogether outside of Josh Allen, knowing that, well, there are a lot of injuries and it hasn't looked good here the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, there is definitely a slice of the fantasy industry that is particularly interested in Davis. I just happen to think they like Ty Johnson. Like, I think Ty Johnson's a pretty good player, not a star player. He's not a Cook-level player, but they clearly like it. I mean, he vultured a touchdown not that long ago from James Cook. They like him at the goal line. They like him as a receiver. So I'm a little bit more interested in him, but there's kind of a thrill of the unknown thing with Davis that I think a lot of people are attracted to, which is fine. It's just this feels like a low-scoring game, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be. So we're often surprised by things like that. The big thing for me, just looking at Buffalo, is, and I feel like this is something that we talked about weeks ago. A lot of questions about the receiving core coming into the season, and the fact that almost everybody here profiles as a slot receiver. You got to find somebody who can win on the boundary consistently. And stretch the field, be like an outside the numbers guy. They have an almost perfectly Devontae Adams shaped hole in the offense right now, right? I don't know any other way to put it. Like, and there's a guy out there that can be acquired theoretically. That's what they need.
We got a lot of injuries to deal with here in Week 6. Some teams getting healthier as well. Anthony Richardson looks like he might be ready to return against Tennessee on Sunday. Jonathan Taylor, though, in the backfield, not so much. What was your takeaway from Trey Sermon's performance in Week 5, and do we expect something similar out of him coming up here in Week 6?
This is a pretty frisky Tennessee defense, and Tennessee is kind of, Will Levis has sort of dominated the fantasy discussion about Tennessee because he's just, there's a couple plays a game that just can't happen in the NFL, and that's sort of been the fantasy story there. But man, Tennessee has been a problem in the trenches. They were a nightmare for Caleb Williams in Week 1. They've just, they've got some dudes on defense, so it's not a dream matchup by any means. And I don't know that Trey Sermon or Tyler Goodson are guys who can overcome a somewhat difficult matchup. So I don't have the enthusiasm for Sermon this week that I did last week. I thought he was a really strong play. This week, I think he's just a guy that you can he's slotted like in the mid-20s in our running back ranks. He's not somebody that I'm proactively going out and trying to get and trying to play. And that's, no real disrespect to him. I think he's fine. I just think this is a much more troubling matchup than last week's.
Andy, I thought Houston last week, there was two different Houstons. You had Houston with Nico Collins, and then he gets hurt, and it didn't look so good. So we know Collins isn't available, and you may look at this and say, hey, it's an easy opponent here, the Patriots. I don't know. I'm a little trepidatious. These are some of these situations where you might experience a letdown. What's your advice as far as where the target share may now go in Houston? Are you comfortable playing a Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, or is this a situation you got to be cautious in?
You're right to point out that it's, it feels like kind of a trappish sort of game, right? Because we've got, these aren't the Patriots of Jacoby Brissett. These aren't like the really boring Patriots that we saw for the first month of the season. This is Drake May, and we don't exactly know what it's going to look like, but it was really fun in the preseason. And May obviously adds an element that is just simply not present with Brissett. So this game's a little trappy. I agree with you on that front. Nico Collins is a huge subtraction from any offense, and he to this point had almost solidified himself, I think, as a top four, maybe five receiver in the league. He's winning at every level, right? Like he's an elite deep threat, but he can be a chain mover for you too. He could just function at any level of the field. And Nico Collins was playing great football, and there's not another guy like that. In fairness to the Texans, there's not another guy like. No team has two guys like that. Maybe the Bengals kind of do, but almost no team has two dudes like that. So really tough loss. Diggs is the player who is more interesting to me because Tank Dell is, I think at this point we have to, if you really key in on him as you watch some of these games, I think it's almost unmistakable that he's not quite back to where he was last year, not quite back to where he was pre-injury. So I'm a little bit less interested in Dell. And then there's nobody beyond that you're interested in. The good news for Houston is that their backfield is getting healthier, and Joe Mixon has practiced like a couple times this week, and Dameon Pierce, it seems like he's going to be back. So, man, I just got to tell you, there's no drop in fantasy football that is any sweeter than finally dropping Cam Akers. I did it a couple times today. Felt so good, man.
Congratulations, Andy. All right.
I hope to feel something similar, and this is one of those rare instances where a guy goes backwards on the injury report, and I'm talking about the backfield in Tampa Bay. If you invested in Rachaad White based on what he did down the stretch last year, you've been kind of disappointed in what he's done for you this year, and especially when you consider there's another guy in that backfield. Is this the week that Bucky Irving really, really presents in a way that makes it, you can't put White back in there? Or the Irving genie is out of the bottle after this week if White misses this weekend?
I feel like I've been having this conversation for a month because, if people haven't watched much Tampa Bay football, like Irving just has gears that are not, and it's not even fair to White.
He's better.
To Rachaad, like, he's better. He's just got gears that not many people have. And he makes a play per game is just jaw-dropping stuff. That Denver game was ridiculous. And I know that he doesn't have like a real signature performance yet, but it is crazy to me that we're not giving Bucky Irving, I don't know, let's see what it looks like on 15 carries, And Rachaad White can still have a role, and he's fine in pass protection, and he's a really good route running back. Like, he's got his uses, but man, we got to find a way when we get in positive game script to give Bucky Irving 15, 16, 17 carries and just see what that looks like, because he is a live wire. He is electric.
Andy, the one game I think we're looking forward to, and I think many of us will see in late TV window, Detroit and Dallas, 4:25 Eastern, a rematch of a game last year where, gosh, how did Detroit end up losing that? And you just go back to the sequence at the end. They're going to be, I would figure they're going to be up for this. My question is, where is the line when it comes to playing Detroit Lions players in a game where we kind of figure or hope there's going to be a lot of points?
You are referring to the Laporta line, aren't you? That's what
we can call it the Laporta line, sure, yeah. I mean, is this finally the week where we get rewarded for drafting him in the fourth round or third round?
That's kind of where you actually start scratching your head with Detroit at this point, because we know that both running backs are starting for us. They're both great. That, the other thing we have to mention here is that Dallas, which was a defense that was not playing well to start the season, is now down Micah Parsons and Lawrence, and this is a shell of the defense that they came into the season with. So great matchup. It's been a great matchup for running backs all year. So easy to imagine Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery both finishing as top 10 fantasy backs this week. We're starting Williams. We're starting Amon-Ra. Probably starting Jared Goff. He probably squeezes into the top 12 at quarterback. It's Laporta who's been the odd man out to this point. I will just say Laporta was a very good red zone option last year, and we're going to see those opportunities come back at some point this season. He also came into the year with an ankle injury, so I feel like we're not giving him enough credit perhaps for playing through injury status and maybe coming out of the bye. He's a little bit better. Also, tight end is just a barren wasteland. And so if you've got Laporta, you've got to keep leaning on him, because there's not, it's not like the waiver wire at tight end is just full of gems right now. You'll just be chasing after the guy who happened to catch two balls and one of them was a touchdown, and then he's not going to do anything the rest of the season. So you're married to Sam Laporta at this point. You got to keep rolling with him.
What are you saying to the Breece Hall owner at this point of the season?
This is a big one. This is really a big one, because often Braylon Allen actually looks – Allen looks like he deserves to play. This isn't one of those things where, we should be getting mad at the decision to give Allen all these touches. He looks like he deserves them. So it is a tricky situation. We do have a matchup here where, the Ravens certainly had plenty of success against Buffalo running the football. It should be a pretty good setup. Hall himself has had some really nice moments against the Bills in the past. So he's going to have a big one. I feel like this is the spot. You should be feeling a little bit, little bit leery. Of course, you can't bench Breece Hall. We've seen too many big moments from him. He's a very good player. The Jets got a lot of stuff they got to figure out. Now we have, new play calling situation there. We have, the coach getting fired. So we've got some upheaval, and it's going to be interesting to see if the backfield mix remains the same. I imagine it will, again, because Allen just looks that good.
Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy, is our guest here. How are we feeling about the Philadelphia Eagles? Kind of a little bumpy road here, but they're coming off a bye, and they're getting a little bit healthier, and they get an opponent that's down and out. Are we feeling good about the Eagles playing their players this week?
Yeah, you got to feel great about them getting both Smith and Brown back. It's been a long road for those of us who've been waiting on AJ Brown, but he's finally going to be back. It's kind of all systems go for that team, and they're a very simple team for fantasy purposes, right? Because Smith and Brown are just too good to sit. Hurts and Barkley are not guys that you ever think about sitting. This probably hits Dallas Goedert pretty hard, because he'd stepped up with a couple of big target games and some nice fantasy efforts with Smith and Brown out of the mix. But that's probably gone. We're probably back to 5-6 targets for Dallas Goedert, and you're hoping for a touchdown. But this Cleveland defense hasn't quite been the same as it was last year either. It's still good. They still have Pro Bowlers at every level. Garrett is still playing really, really well. He was leading the NFL in pressure rate as of last week. So, they've got some dudes, but it's not performing at the elite level that it was last year. So I kind of think it's just all systems go for Philly.
Andy, similarly, let's talk a little bit about that early game on Sunday. Our Bears are in London. Caleb continues to improve week in and week out. Are you rolling with Williams, Swift, DJ Moore, and the like against the Jags from London?
Yeah, the Jags are as good a matchup as it gets, basically, for a quarterback. Right? They haven't picked off a pass this year. They're dead last in the NFL in terms of passing yards allowed. 8+ yards per attempt on the season. And Williams is coming off, he's got over 300 yards in 2 of the last 3 games. He's coming off the best game he's played. Yes, it was against Carolina, but this is what we want people to do when they have a good matchup. We want them to crush it, and that's what he did. The other really encouraging thing last week is there were finally a few deep balls where he was on the same page as a receiver, which, frustratingly we had not seen all year. We know that Caleb Williams can hit some deep shots. That was part of the story of his collegiate career. That's not really an open question, but it's been ugly until very recently. But that deep touchdown to DJ Moore was great to see. There was a deep out to Cole Kmet that was great to see. So things are kind of clicking right now. And again, this matchup is too good to pass on. Caleb is one of those guys where, if you've been holding on to him all year, hadn't dropped him yet in a 1 quarterback league, and you've got some question marks, I'd roll him out there. I would proactively be looking to start Caleb Williams this week. He's also, one of my favorite things about him from a fantasy perspective. He's not the most aggressive runner in the league, but he is smart and opportunistic about it. He had a touchdown, a rushing touchdown negated by penalty last week, and it was just a good decision, good play that got wiped out. He's going to give us 3 or 4 more rushing touchdowns before it's done.
Yeah, I'm pulling for you guys here, Bear fans here. That starting off our Sunday. Andy, last one for me, and this goes back to not last night, but the previous Thursday. Oh, finally. Now, there you have the Atlanta Falcons putting up points and 500 yards from Cousins. Finally, Drake London looking like where we've expected him to be. Is this going to continue? Because you look on paper, this is Carolina. You would think here. So what is your advice? What's your read here on the Atlanta Falcons?
Well, we're not going to get 58 pass attempts from Kirk in this one. That's an outlier total, right? That is, it's a function of game flow last week, and it's just, it's almost unfair to do the Panthers. I don't think we're going to see that. Ideally, this would be the get-right week for Bijan Robinson. And Bijan has a couple of touches every game where you're like, wow, this must be the best running back in the NFL. That guy's crazy. And then at the end of the day, he doesn't have a touchdown, and he's got he's got 80 yards, and it's fine, but it's not a difference-making performance. This should be the spot. Carolina is about as friendly as it gets. They've allowed the most fantasy points to opposing running backs. So, man, if Bijan can't get in on that party, it becomes a concern. He hasn't reached double-digit fantasy points in either of the last 2 games, but I think he should. Man, I think he should really crush this week, and we're going to be concerned if he doesn't.
Make Andy Behrens a part of your Sunday morning routine. Yahoo Fantasy, set your lineup. Yeah. Andy, tell us about Fantasy Football Live and where we can check you out.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, Fantasy Football Live is our hour-long pregame show on Sundays. We go through all of the late-breaking injury information that you need, actives, inactives. We answer questions from viewers, from readers, and we debate a whole bunch of topics. Very fun show. Please check us out on Yahoo.
Yeah, and especially this week, there's no Bills football on Sunday. Check Andy out and give him a shot there. And
no excuse.
No excuse. Well, we'll see what kind of mood you're in there. Hopefully it's a good one with the Bears taking. This is the rare Sunday where we'll see what Andy, what your temperature is there when you go on live. Andy, always appreciate.
I am worried that they're going to ask me questions on the show live, and I'm going to be like, "Oh, what? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention." Because I'm going to have a 2-screen experience going while being on air, which is always difficult.
Okay. I'm a Met fan. Danger's ready to kill me this week because he's asking me questions. I'm just like, what? Oh, a pitch. Yeah, I can't understand. Oh.
Well, Andy, you're a pro's pro. We appreciate you checking in, and we'll do it again next week, buddy. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Good luck this weekend, everybody.
Thanks, Andy.
Andy Barron's Yahoo Fantasy, the best. Love him joining us every Friday to help set your lineup for Week 6. And we're all immune to it. I shouldn't be critical, Gene. If the Bears were playing or if there was a team on, if the Blackhawks are playing, I'd be paying attention. Usually it doesn't happen while we're on the air, but this is a special time of year. Remember, we used to have those games where we would actually be off the air those afternoons of the divisional and wild card games, and we could actually watch them free of distraction of being in a studio.
It's one thing to do a show, right? Maybe you can kind of time it a little bit, but when you're calling a game and Penn State football's playing, and I'm like, yep, I'm not mentioning the name, but I'm like, yep.
Come back to us.
Come back
to us. Yeah.
But I can't say anything because who knows? Who knows how far these Mets go?
Yeah.
I could the world have lined up better? Game 2 for the Mets is 1:00 Pacific time on Monday, which means 4:00, and we'll be in Bill's pregame. Monday we have the heavy lift, 3:00. Quick story here.
Yeah.
Because one of our regulars, texted me today like, hey, I want to come on the show and tell you about me running in the Chicago Marathon. Like, Monica and Joey are getting married on the 19th. So not this Saturday, but the following Saturday.
Yeah.
They're going to run a marathon.
This weekend.
I'm like, are you nuts? Don't get hurt.
No.
I sound like a dad here.
They're not going to get hurt. They're not going to. Are you kidding me? They're in amazing shape. They're a power couple. They're not getting hurt. And I'm insanely jealous. I was being there last weekend, and I actually physically said this, so I'm kind of willing it into existence. Don't hold me to this.
Oh, no, you're training
or
for a marathon?
Hold me to this. One or the other. I don't know which way I'm going yet. But the Chicago Marathon occurs the second Sunday of October annually. So I missed it by a weekend. They're there this weekend. I was there last weekend, and I've always thought about running the Chicago Marathon. I have friends who have done it. They loved it, and they had a blast. And I haven't run a marathon in, I want to say, over 10 years. It's been a while.
This would be a lot of training. I would think at least 6 months leading up to it.
18 weeks.
You could do it in 18 weeks.
Give me 18 weeks. Yeah, I think I could pound out a training for a marathon in 18 weeks. Then follow the program and see how it goes. I mean, there's a lot that has to happen for me to even say. But, once you register, you're committed. Once you're in, you're in. There's no turning back. Well, there is, but I'm not going to do that. So I even said it to my daughter. I said it, because we were walking around. We saw the marathon signs. I'm like, because, you're in the moment. You're enjoying the city, and you're walking around, and you're like, God, this is great. What a great time we're having. Maybe next year we'll come back for the Chicago Marathon.
So for folks who don't know, like New York, anybody can enter. Boston, you got to be invited. Chicago, anybody can enter?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's not Boston. Boston's the tough one.
Yeah.
Boston's the one who's like, I'll let Joey Kipchoge go run Boston. I'll stay away from that one. Rochester, the Rochester Marathon was always fun. I enjoyed doing that. There's other marathons. There's no shortage of ways for you to run a marathon in our area. We have a great running community, and I appreciate that we have the running community we have. But like the weather this week has been just like perfect. If they get this weather at the Chicago Marathon, and it's been dicey. There's been some years where it's been really, really hot. Man, what a great weekend for those two. And leading up to them getting married the following weekend,
right, yeah.
Fantastic. Good for them. Now, you're not officiating the wedding.
I cannot.
Because you're not an ordained minister.
No, not asked to officiate, just asked to not even be the wedding DJ.
You're the MC.
I would just been like, and for the first time as husband, I'm pouring it on here, but like that's
yes.
Yeah, I would just be like, and that would, and I felt so bad because the RT schedule came out. That's Brick City, and I knew those were gonna collide, so
boy.
I had to turn it down.
And
they were totally cool about it.
Well, I'm very excited for them, not just for this weekend. And living vicariously through them this weekend in the Chicago Marathon, but of course starting their lives together next weekend with their marriage. That's fantastic. A couple of our regulars here in the sports bar tying the knot. Love to see it. And maybe I'll keep you posted. We'll
maybe.
see.
Well, you don't have to make that decision.
Not right away.
But I know you get the seasonality depression, January, February, March. If you would start turning into a slug, I'm going to be like, hey, marathon.
I don't know that I'll turn into a slug. this is a milestone year. January will be a milestone. So if it's a milestone year, maybe I use that as motivation.
Is
as well.
it? Do you like Bob Costas or not? Milestone 50, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not at the threshold that we determined earlier. 55 would be the threshold. No, actually, I'm going to be 70. Do I look good for 70? I feel like I look pretty good for 70.
How old is John from Rochester? He's in his
He's a
70s.
Spartan.
He's
Guy's
in his 70s.
he's an absolute
He
Spartan.
breaks his foot. Oh, no problem.
Yeah, he just rolls out of
Yeah.
bed with a broken foot and walks it off. Guy's an absolute warrior. Love it. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I got a non-sports take, and, man, I'm experiencing FOMO that goes beyond Monica and Joey running in the Chicago Marathon. There's something that's been going on, and it's been happening with more regularity this summer and this fall, and for the life of me, I can't figure it out. So you might have to walk me through this. And this would have been a nice thing for us to know before we made our bold predictions for the season, because the AP just likes to kind of make things up as they go. And they actually didn't make it up as they go, but I think they're trying to atone for a horrible mistake made in one of the awards they doled out last year.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and ultimately, I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I've got a take here because it's never too soon, Danger, to talk about this. Hey, which teams in the next month will be doing the quiet tank to improve their draft position? And if we look at, the draft order right now, there's a few surprises here. I will get to this.
Okay, we've got more on the way, and don't forget, coming up at 4:25, our buddy Dan Leberfeld, Jets Confidential. We'll check in with New York here in the 4 o'clock hour. Stay in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan.
WBEE HD2 Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
It's a new season of Amerks hockey beginning tonight. Blue Cross Arena, the site. Belleville, the opponent. Here's the new head coach, Mike Leone.
They're a team where you got to earn it and you got to play the right way. They're physical. They're really good on the D side of the puck, and so it'd be a good test for us tonight.
The Hall of Famer Don Stevens has your call beginning at 7 here on the Sports Leader. The Bills, a walkthrough today, so the Friday injury report the same as yesterday. We'll learn more tomorrow. Bills and Jets coming up Monday. Our pregame coverage will begin at 4 o'clock. Change in the schedule here for the Guardians and Tigers with rain in the forecast tomorrow night in Cleveland. That game has been moved up tomorrow to 1 o'clock. Dodgers and Padres tonight playing a deciding Game 5. Winner of that game faces the Mets in the NLCS. Gene Battaglia, the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The Bills can't lose this game, guys, can they? I'm not buying into this whole total boost because they fired Robert Saleh. I think this locker room's a mess. I think this Jets team is a flawed team right now, and the coach takes the fall for it. But I don't know how much firing him fixes things.
Mike Danger.
I expect to bounce back. The guy's never lost 3 games in a row as a starter in this league, and I don't think it's going to happen on Monday. I don't think they're going to lose their 3rd in a row to drop to 3-3.
Gene Battaglia.
I just expect a real low-scoring game. Don't turn the ball over because guess what? The Jets, sooner or later, with that old man, they're going to cough it up. Who cares how you win this game? That's all you have to do. Find a way. Does not matter. That should just be enough to carry you in this game. You don't have to match the Jets point for point.
Amerks, Belleville, tonight at 7.
Long shot. They score!
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You know, Gino, Brian in East Hilton, my neighbor, Katie, countless others. And you've seen this. You know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
Sharing a photo last night of the Northern Lights. My question about the Northern Lights, do I have to be drunk or high in order to see them? Because I'm experiencing a lot of FOMO today, fear of missing out. All I see are these photos from friends and from neighbors, and they're showing off the beauty of Aurora Borealis. And when I go out and I look up, all I see is black, like my dying soul. So what is the secret here? Because my wife told me that it looks better through your camera's lens. And like, what the hell is that? Can we not enjoy something that doesn't go through the lens of our phone screen?
All right, first of all, you know you're not going to see it in your neighborhood. You actually have to drive up to the lake.
No, my neighbor's taking pictures from her backyard. It's like, look at these beautiful pictures of the Northern Lights.
She's lying. Like, you go out in your backyard. I'm not seeing them either. And, like, you're a little more north than I am, a little closer to the lake. It's funny. A good friend of the show, Norm Kiefer, like, he and his wife, Becky, went out and they took the kids. And the kids are like, yeah, so... They, driving up. Guess there was a lot of traffic around Braddock's Bay.
Okay, fine. And I'm real happy for anyone who had the opportunity to appreciate the majestic beauty of our skies last night. But really, I mean, if I need to be a part of this club, am I going to have to book a flight to Iceland, or do I have to go to the lake? Because I've seen people in their backyards taking pictures of the Northern Lights. Oh, my God, the beauty. Oh, my God, the sky. Look at it. It's unbelievable. And it is. It's pretty. I'd like to see it with my own eyes. I'd rather than see it at my feet, I'd like to see it with my own eyes. Do I have to go to the lake? Because I've seen people take pictures from their backyard and
Well, you mentioned Brian up front. I think he lives up there,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. So that's why him. I don't know anything about your neighbor. And it was one of those, like,
well, your brother's in my neighborhood. Does he? I mean,
he's
your more successful, more handsome brother, Kevin, is in my neighborhood. Has he shared any pictures or stories of the Aurora Borealis this summer and fall?
The answer is he flew to Florida last night, I think it was.
Oh.
I haven't texted him. He just wanted to make sure. My brother, he's got a little head start on you, Danger, because he's up here working, and then he's got, the timeshare, whatever you want to call it, down there. They got a second property. And yeah, just wanted to make sure everything was okay. But he's inland, so I think everything was okay.
Okay,
So
good.
to answer your question, no, I haven't I haven't heard, but I know enough of your neighborhood Goombas. You want me to text Cuse? Somehow Cuse got my cell phone, and he likes, dishing sports takes. He congratulated me on the Mets. So
I
you know
think
what?
he probably
I'm gonna
would.
text Cuse. Like, did he see the Northern
Well,
Lights?
he's got his backyard. He's got one of these fields in his backyard, and he built like a trail. So he could probably go. He's got open space back there. And if you're saying if I go in my backyard and I look up, I'm not going to see it, or if I go into my backyard and I look north, I'm not going to be able to see it. I have to go to the lake. I don't know that I believe that because I'm fairly certain that I have people in my neighborhood that have seen the Northern Lights. And again, so I asked the question, how drunk or high do I need to be in order to see these with my own eyes and not through the lens of my phone?
You're not going to see. I think the person in the lens of the phone, they're lying. They're just kind of did this like a filter or something like that. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm texting Cuse right now. There we go.
Okay.
I think it works both ways. If you can text me, I can text you. Cuse, did you see the Northern Lights?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Yeah. Well, that's not sports. I have a sports take here, Danger. Anybody who wants to join us, 866-432-6664-FAN. Now, look, there's still a lot of the NFL season left. But today, just for fun, here's where the draft order stands. Starting at number 10, going down to number 1. Number 10, the Raiders. Not a surprise. Number 9, the Jets. Picking at 9.
Yeah, top 10, once again, for the New York Jets, picking at 9.
9 times.
Then the Dolphins, the Titans, Carolina, and surprise, surprise, Jacksonville, followed by Cleveland, the Rams at 3, Cincinnati at 2, and picking number 1 overall, the New England Patriots. Now, Cincinnati is one team I expect to rise out of this, but every other situation right now, to one degree or another, there's a common theme here. Some unknown at quarterback. Now, 3 teams paid their quarterback, and I'm sorry to Cleveland, Miami, and Jacksonville. If you find yourself picking in the top 10 when you're paying your quarterback, that's terrible. 5 other situations you can easily see the team drafting a quarterback. I can see the Raiders need one, the Jets need one, Tennessee, Carolina, Jacksonville. I mean, you can throw the Rams in there, too.
The Rams, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but the one that I don't see, well, they just drafted one. New England. Drake May. What if Drake May shows something here in these final weeks of the season? They are in a great position to build the New England Patriots. In fact, I would argue, Danger, New England is in a better position to challenge Buffalo. They will challenge Buffalo quicker than the Dolphins and the Jets will.
I like that take, and we've been saying it all season long. Mr. Mayo is the second best head coach in the division right now behind Sean McDermott. And even McDermott makes those mistakes, and you're like, I want to bump him down a notch. I can't do it. He's got a pretty good resume with the Bills. But, yeah, Mr. Mayo is already the second best head coach in the AFC East.
I predict an upset this week, too. I think the Titans coming off that, we're in the second half, didn't look all that, and they're favored by 6. Is this young team mature enough to drop the hammer in New England? I just see this as a letdown game. The Geno upset special this week, New England.
Book it now.
No,
Thank me later.
Yeah.
Well, we went through some of those upsets with PJ earlier this week, right? Right now, let me see. You've got the Patriots against Houston is an upset. Yeah, with that is the kind of game, and that was one that we talked about with PJ, the kind of game that Houston goes on the road and kind of falls on their face from their history last year, right? Washington, Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore right now is favored by 6.5, 7 in some spots.
This is the fun fact. You know, that's the highest price ticket on the resale market this week. It's just the Beltway's going crazy. If the Commanders go into Baltimore, that long-suffering fan base.
Too much history of Lamar Jackson just mauling the NFC for me to believe that he's not going to do this to Washington. I think at home, the Ravens win and cover against the Commanders.
I'm leaning that way too, and here's why. Because we're away from the blast zone. What do you think they're saying down there? Like, here comes Washington ready for Baltimore. Like, Baltimore has owned that area, Not for years, for decades, you could say. And now here comes Washington, the team that supposedly has more money and tradition and everything else. The Ravens want to say this is still our region.
Lions favored by a field goal right now at Dallas. This is the revenge game from last year. You could kind of look at this and be like, oh, there's going to be a lot of points here. Do the Lions win by more than a field goal against the Cowboys? They feel like the better team going in.
I think the way that game ended last year with the player reporting and then he wasn't eligible, and then rather than just kind of take the sure points, I mean, the Lions go for it on 4th and goal from the 7. The whole ending of that game, it felt like, for many different reasons, the Detroit just kind of said, here you go, Dallas, and the Cowboys ended up winning the game. I think Detroit drops the hammer in this game. I think Detroit is a spirited team. As you heard Andy Behrens mention, no Micah Parsons this week. In this Dallas offense, I don't think it's as good as it was last year, so I do like Detroit. Dallas will score some points, certainly. It's not going to be a game where you're turning it off. So I'll take the Lions here.
Raiders making the change at quarterback. Aiden O'Connell getting the start against the Steelers and getting 3 points at home.
That's going to feel like a Steeler home game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is all. Like, you're going to turn that on, or you'll watch the highlights after. It's all going to be yellow and black.
Black and yellow. Yeah, not gold,
Yeah,
yellow.
yeah.
That's not a gold. That's a yellow. I kind of like the Raiders +3.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of do. I feel like Russell Wilson is lurking. With Russell Wilson lurking, there's a little added element of pressure on Justin Fields, on Mike Tomlin. And this is a typical, like, Steelers. The Steelers are the same every single year, aren't they? This is the kind of game where you expect Pittsburgh, the better team, to go in there and win handily, and yet you kind of know they're going to play down to the level of their competition.
No, I think this year's. I think the Steelers have gone according to script so far. I'm going to give you a team that's not according to script. Which team, and again, big disclaimer, it's only October 11th. But if the playoffs were today, which team would be in that we were like, this team isn't any good? My answer for this, Mike Danger, the Denver Broncos, right now at 3-2, holding one of the wild card positions. The Denver Broncos with a plus 23-point differential. And quite honestly, the first 3 games, Bo Nix looked completely lost. So for as much dirt as we want to shovel on Sean Payton, the Broncos home against the Chargers, 2-2. How do you like this game? And I'm going to say how I think the Broncos playing back-to-back weeks, divisional opponent, both at home. I don't know. I kind of like the Chargers here in this game.
Broncos getting 3 points here at home. Chargers coming off of a bye. Broncos defense good. Justin Herbert getting a little healthier. Harbaugh versus Payton. This is a nice matchup.
It's a sneaky good game.
Yeah, it's a nice little matchup. Hot uniform talk, too. I think, depending on what Denver trots out there, the Orange Crush unis were nice last week.
The Orange Crush unis playing against the Raiders. that did it. Like when the Buccaneers broke out the creamsicles against the Lions on a sunny afternoon. Like, wow, that reminds me.
It hit. Yeah, it absolutely hit. That's a tough one. I think I like the Chargers in that one. I'm going to go Chargers in that one. I like Justin Herbert getting a little bit healthier after the week off, and I think they find a way. I don't know that they're winning by more than a field goal, but I do like the Chargers in that matchup.
Speaking of teams that right now could be in a playoff position, I want the Bears. The Bears only giving up 1 point. This feels trappish. London games. I don't know if anybody should bet London games. I'll put it that way because you don't know what to expect, particularly Jacksonville, Chicago. And I think part of this is, well, how many times has Jacksonville done this? Chicago, this is the first time. It's a young team. Are they going to be distracted? I think the answer is yes, Danger. I think your Bears have a letdown this week. I think Andy Behrens on his show on Sunday, he's going to be trying to keep a straight face when he'll be seething inside.
I'm not willing to say that, and I won't say that. I think the Bears can win. I think the Bears will cover. They do have some injuries they're dealing with on the defensive side of the ball. No Tyreek Stevenson. Looks like Jaquan Brisker's still dealing with a concussion. He's in protocol. little banged up on the offensive line, but the momentum is there. They're getting better every week, and I know Jacksonville just got their first win of the season, so you could say, well, they've got momentum too. I don't like what we've seen out of Jacksonville this year, both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball. I don't think that their defense is anything to worry about, and I think Trevor Lawrence has been not even average. I mean, he's been below average considering that he just got paid. So give me the Bears. Oh, I've got a pot of chili ready to go for this weekend. Me and my Bear fan buddies, we're getting together. We're going to sit around early Sunday morning, cracking open cold ones and eating chili. What a day. What a day to be had come Sunday.
The whole weekend there.
Oh.
You're absolutely right, because when you have a sports weekend like this, food is the element. And I'm looking at the weather, too, and that's also part of this, too. So my day tomorrow, Danger, listen in on the sports leader here for St. John Fisher at Hilbert. Hilbert playing at St. Francis High School. Hilbert College has been outscored 271-6 so far this season.
Wow.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
No, there is no chance.
Yeah!
And where my wish of a running clock will not come true.
I should know this. Where is it?
Hilbert is in Hamburg, suburban Buffalo.
Okay.
So this high school is literally right on the banks of the lake Erie, apparently.
Okay.
Never been there. It's also kind of weird that you're at college playing at a high school, whatever. But when I get home, this is the point. Hey, you've got Penn State, USC. You have some really good college. I thought we were going to have baseball tomorrow night. We will not, unfortunately, with Guardians and Tigers moving up to 1 o'clock. But that's okay. The college football with Ohio State, Oregon, fantastic. I bought some T-bones. So T-bones tomorrow night.
Nice.
And then Sunday, I'm going to go see my old man, bring out a pizza. It's his birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. Battaglia.
Yeah, and so that's
I noticed
my
I said
Sunday.
Mr. Battaglia. I did not call him by his first name. I want to show proper respect. Mr. Battaglia, happy birthday.
That's it. See, you and your father-in-law, you can call him by his first name.
Oh, yeah.
But from that generation, a lot of people you can't. So
I think it changes and it gets a little bit more lax with each passing generation. Like when my daughters start to bring guys around the house, if I ever get hit with a bro, I'm going to be like, yeah, you need to go.
No.
You need to go.
No, nobody my daughter brings home is going to call me Gene.
Mr. Battaglia.
Mr. Battaglia.
No excuses.
No excuses. I'm sorry. I'm from that generation. And look, and it's fine, too, that you have the relationship where you can call your father-in-law Guy. But on the other hand, would your dad have been okay? I don't even know what your dad's first name was. Was it Chris or
Chuck?
Chuck.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck, I don't think I could never imagine myself he would be Mr. L or Mr. Leverage.
No, he'd want Chuck. Because he wanted to be. He was.
Well, he was a radio guy.
He was just one of the guys.
Yeah.
He was just one of the guys. He was not a formal guy. He didn't look for that. But by the way, this before we get to Dan Leberfeld at Jets Confidential, this is going to be a check-in worth monitoring here as we go to the Meadowlands. Nice of the AP to lay this out here. It would have been nice to know this before I made my bold prediction in early September that Sam Darnold would be comeback player of the year. And I guess I should have done my research on what constitutes comeback player of the year. From the AP, quote, the spirit of the AP Comeback Player of the Year award is to honor a player who has demonstrated resilience in the face of adversity by overcoming illness, physical injury, or other circumstances that led him to miss playing time the previous season. Now, my guess is that this needed to be installed after Joe Flacco fleeced Damar Hamlin for the award last year. And now, in New York State, we can't bet on comeback player of the year, but in other states you can. Not only can you bet on it, but Sam Darnold is a favorite in some of those states. The AP clearly intended to keep players like Darnold from being named comeback player of the year with this, and the sports books just kind of ignored it. So if Darnold isn't eligible by definition, bets should be refunded, but I'm not going to hold my breath. And when I look at how they worded it here, overcoming illness, physical injury, or other circumstances, maybe they give Sam Darnold a pass. Those other circumstances were he played for the Panthers and he played for the Jets.
He didn't. What are you coming back from? And for that same matter, maybe that was part of what Damar Hamlin, like, people are like, okay, where were you before? Like that.
I feel like they had to do this because of how the Hamlin thing went. To kind of like save face, like, well, we screwed this up. Flacco won it. Really, Hamlin should have been the guy that won it.
We have Dan Leberfeld coming in, but coming up here, little bit of breaking news here, Danger.
Breaking news in the sports.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
We have a statement in regards to Josh Allen.
What?
This from the NFL and the NFLPA issuing a joint statement. You know how the NFL and NFLPA have reviewed reports from the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant and booth spotters, and those reports confirmed that the steps required by the concussion protocol were followed in the evaluation and clearance of Bills quarterback Josh Allen in last Sunday's game. The protocol has been jointly developed and is jointly administered by the NFL and NFLPA. Under the program, the parties jointly identify, retain, and train the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultants and booth spotters.
Lies.
BS.
Lies. But the statement makes everything all right. Okay, I guess we can move on with our day now.
That is just, now don't ask Josh Allen. Statement was put out.
Yeah. I think
stiff arm
that's
statement.
Right. We're done with it.
Hey, NFLPA. Shame on you.
Shame
on you, the NFLPA. The NFL, of course, the NFL. The NFL doesn't want a lawsuit. The NFLPA, are you not protecting your players?
Well, that was a very craftily worded statement.
Who is the independent neurologist? That's what I want. Who was the quack in Miami that put Tua back in? That guy, if he's a legitimate doctor, he was...
I'm just laughing because I could see, like...
What, Dr.
Sal
Nick?
Capaccio down there with the red hat on. Sal Capaccio, the independent neuroscientist who's going to check out and evaluate Josh Allen again. We're like, who is it? Who is that person? Dr. Nick.
Dr. Nick.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Josh Allen. Yes, look here, look there. Yes, you're fine, Josh Allen. I'm Dr. Nick. Hey, Dr. Nick.
Oh, man. I don't know. Well, at least they put out a statement that makes it all right.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, you fixed everything with that.
Moving on. Nothing to see, anybody. Everybody, we're going to lull you to sleep, NFL media.
You're right, though. Shame on the Players Association. But, none of this should be a surprise. This is the way it's always been with the NFL. Dr. Nick. Who is that? Who is the independent neuropsychologist?
Hi, everybody.
There he is. Yeah.
Sal Capaccio or independent nurse. Hey guys, I'll come back to you on the broadcast. I gotta go clear Josh Allen. Hold on.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Sal. Dan Leberfeld, Jets Confidential. We check in with the Jets next on the Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Rochester, Bills, Sabres, Amherst, all on your favorite sports station. 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
I love listening to the Sports Bar on the Odyssey app.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
One of the busiest sports weekends we've had in quite some time, beginning tonight with the Amherst. It's opening night. New captain Mason Yops on the opponent belt.
The guys that have been here know what to expect. They're a hardworking, physical team. We kind of got to look at them a little bit when we played Ottawa in the preseason. They had a decent-sized group, I think, of this Belleville team, and they played the same way. Hard-nosed, blue-collar type style of hockey, and coaches have done a good job of preparing us to play against this team, and we should be ready.
Don Stevens will have your call tonight here on the Sports Leader beginning at 7. The Friday injury report for the Bills, same as the Thursday injury report. That's because there was just a walkthrough today. We'll talk some Jets. Dan Lieberfeld, Jets Confidential, joining us here next. Guardians and Tigers. That's now at 1 o'clock tomorrow because of weather. Dodgers and Padres play Game 5 tonight. G. Battaglin, the Sports Leader. The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Let's check in with Dan Lieberfeld. Jets Confidential. Nothing going on with the Jets in advance of Monday night's game against the Bills. It's a game where there's a shared first place at stake, and they just went ahead and fired Robert Saleh earlier in the week, so we've got a lot to get to, Dan, and as always, we appreciate you stopping by the Sports Bar. I'm curious, what was it a culmination of things from what you're hearing? Was it one specific thing? You know, the firing of Robert Saleh, I guess, caught a lot of us off guard. You could look at his record and say it was deserved, but the whole escorting him out of the building and the whole way that it was handled and kind of viewed under a lens, a microscope. What was your take on all of this and what led to this ultimately being the week that Robert Saleh lost his job?
Well, you know, this week I wrote this a couple times, and I had a blog today at jetsconfidential.com about people are overthinking this one. This is very simple. This isn't Aaron Rodgers doing something behind the scenes or whatever, conspiracy theory you might subscribe to. This was about a team with a really good roster and a window of opportunity this year with a weak schedule, and the AFC is a little watered down, getting off to a rough start, and the owner is saying, you know what, this is our window this year. We got Rodgers. We don't know how much longer he's going to be here. We have a very talented roster. We can't let this spiral out of control. And there was some bad earmarks early in the year. They should have won their last two games. You know, when you limit Bo Nix, the Denver rookie quarterback, to 60 yards passing, and the game is at home at MetLife Stadium, you can't lose that game. And Sam Darnold is better, but that was another winnable game for them. So I think it was just a matter of the owner saying, this is a really good roster. This is our chance to reach the brass ring this year. We can't blow it. Let me do something to change things up a little bit sooner rather than later.
But why? I get that, but you could have just simply, and they ended up doing this anyways, take away the play calling responsibilities from Nathaniel Hackett here. That's part one of the question. Part two, Dan, I know, Aaron Rodgers, I don't imagine that Aaron Rodgers went in or called the phone or whatever, but some of the things we've observed here, whether that's the glance on the sideline, whether that's the telling her, in a press conference setting, about the cadence, that whole storyline. I mean, there's things indirectly that Aaron Rodgers, he's done here, would you not agree, that have kind of pointed to his head coach and say, Dan, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the hug situation, let's call it Huggate, because we put gate on everything these days when there's a scandal. Huggate, that was weird. But the other thing, that whole thing with the cadence, that was a media-created story. That was a situation where somebody asked Robert Saleh after the game, because they had 5 offside penalties in the Denver game, is something going on, where the cadence is too complicated and guys are jumping off sides. And he basically said, we'll have to look at that. Maybe we need to examine that and whether these guys can handle it. And then the reporter goes to Rodgers a few minutes later and says, Robert said a few minutes ago that you guys might need to dial back on the cadence. He never said dial back, and that's when Rodgers said, maybe we need to hold guys more accountable. So it's kind of a situation where it's kind of like a bad game of telephone, or a reporter didn't relay what one person said correctly to another person. So I'll dismiss the cadence thing. The hug thing was weird, I'll give you that. But I do think this was strictly Woody Johnson, the owner, saying, I gotta stop this train from derailing. And as far as Hackett with the play calling, obviously they made the move to Todd Downing. I think that the protection issues were the biggest thing. And I think one thing that isn't brought up enough is the fact that the offensive line coach, Keith Carter, and the offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, were not on the same page. And that was an arranged marriage. They never worked together. Saleh put them together, and it just last year, it would happen with Rodgers getting hurt in the opener, and then, in other games where the left tackle, where the offensive line coach asked for more help, like in the Dallas game against Micah Parsons, needed more help to deal with Parsons, not a 38-year-old tackle, Dwayne Brown, and that help didn't come from the offensive coordinator. So I think that these are two separate issues. The team needed more accountability from the head coach, and they also needed more of a situation where the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator were more on the same page.
Dan, we can look at the roster on paper and say, yeah, there is a lot of talent with the New York Jets. But talent doesn't always win football games when there's dysfunction within the organization or there's a schism in the locker room or whatever might be going on. So I guess with all that talent, are the Jets good?
Yeah, I think they are, especially in a really watered-down league. It's just not good. There aren't enough quarterbacks that are getting the job done. And it's just, you look at the AFC, the Jets have no excuse this year. Who's good in the AFC? Baltimore has had a resurgence the last couple of weeks, so maybe they're going to be okay. And then you look at Kansas City, and then you like Buffalo, and Buffalo's obviously good. But who else? Cincinnati 1-4, like Pittsburgh with Fields, and that seems to be heading in the wrong direction. So this is the year, the Jets can't mess this up this year. Another reason they can't mess it up this year is remember that draft class where they got those 4 key players, including Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall and, of course, Garrett Wilson. All those guys are going to be coming up for contracts perhaps next offseason. So what windows are like, covering the bills. Like when they had to pay Josh Allen, now he's underpaid, but when they had to pay him, they had to cut corners at other positions. Jets haven't had to do that yet. They might have to do that after this year. So it's one of those seasons where they have a lot of their key young players under contract. They have Aaron Rodgers in the building at 40. Who knows how much longer he's going to play, especially with the beating he's taking this year. They've got to get it done this year. So to me, I totally get why the owner did it. I don't like to see anybody get fired. But when you look at this situation, I don't understand the owner saying, we got to do something now before we're sitting at 2-5 and can't fix this.
Dan, I haven't watched as much Jets football as you have, certainly, but I did watch all the Titans game. I watched that loss to Denver. I watched last week against the Vikings in London. And my takeaway is, all right, when is the real Aaron Rodgers going to step up? And again, you watch it more closely than I do, and I'm just I'm watching a quarterback that looks like Peyton Manning at the end, that the skills are kind of diminishing, and you could say it's the offensive line, but the mobility. Am I wrong in thinking that maybe this isn't going to come around for Rodgers this year?
No, I don't see. Obviously, the mobility isn't exactly the same, but that ability to create time and move around the pocket when there is pressure is still special. That touchdown pass in the loss to Minnesota that he threw to Alan Lazard in the middle of the end zone, moving around and throwing a laser into traffic. That was special. That Garrett Wilson touchdown in the New England game on the right side of the end zone, that not a lot of quarterbacks can make that throw. The problem, the protection has been awful. The last 2 games, he's been sacked 8 times and hit what's the total there? 25 times.
Jeez.
That's unsustainable. And one of the problems there is people. See, one of the things is people. The NFL is not covered that great anymore because it's just everything is so superficial and surface driven. One of the problems with the protection that nobody brings up is that Olu Fashanu, the right tackle who's filling in for Morgan Moses, never played right tackle before. He was a really good left tackle at Penn State. Morgan Moses gets hurt. They put him out there. He's really struggling. And a lot of the pressure is coming from over there. So Moses should be back this week. That should help. So I just think that if the protection improves and maybe the combination of Downing calling plays with Keith Carter, Downing and Carter worked together for 4 years with the Tennessee Titans on Mike Vrabel's staff. So those guys are on the same page. I'm just telling you guys, if the protection improves, Rodgers is fine. There's some other things you might want to look at, but I don't think Rodgers' skill has diminished. I just think the protection issues are the root of the problem.
So, Dan, if we're going to talk about and focus in on that offensive line for the Jets being an issue with protection, what about the run game? Because Breece Hall has certainly performed below expectation through 5 weeks this season. What do you attribute that to? Is that, again, on the offensive line, or is Breece Hall just not the same player he was that we saw last year?
You know, something else that's not brought up around the NFL in terms of the coverage or not is the design of the running plays. Like, I saw a master at work, and anyone who watched the game saw it, the Jets-Denver game, where Denver could not run the ball in the first half, and Sean Payton goes in the locker room and rescripts his play sheet, puts in runs that he thinks will work, and they were gashing them in the second half. I just, I don't want to beat up on Nathaniel Hackett. He already paid the price. Well, he's still on the staff, but he lost his play calling. I just didn't see the adjustments in the running game to what might work better. I just think I saw a team just sticking to what they do on their play sheet and not saying, we got to do what Sean Payton did in that Denver game where he changed the running game and they were gashing the Jets up the middle. So I think a more creative run game will help. And also, Breece Hall is not a power back. He's really good outside the tackles. He's an exceptional receiver. But in between the tackles, he's always been kind of middle of the road. That's why this rookie has to excite Jet fans so much. Braylon Allen, 6'1", 235 out of Wisconsin, a guy that just carries defenders on his back. So I think you'll see more Braylon Allen. I just wouldn't use Breece Hall in short yardage. But I'm surprised that the run blocking, even with the lack of innovation in the running game, the run blocking has not been great on this line, which was touted before the year with some high-profile free agent additions and obviously Fashanu in the draft. And I'm not going to kill Fashanu in terms of criticism because he's a really good left tackle. They're forcing him to play at a position, but that'll change this week with Moses coming back. So more Allen, more innovation in the run game. Perhaps that'll improve it a little bit.
Dan Leberfeld, Jets Confidential, our guest here. Dan, just going back to the beginning of our conversation because, okay, the Jets made the move, but to me, and maybe you have another instance where this has worked in the NFL where, hey, it's worked in baseball where you had Jack McKeon like leading the Marlins to a World Series championship. Hockey numerous times where you switch the coach, team goes on to win the Stanley Cup. In football, I mean, more often than not, it's the interim coach because things are down and out. And, yes, there's other instances like Rich Bisaccia, but that really wasn't performance-related. Like the idea that will this actually work, if we're going to explore this question, well, who is Jeff Ulbrich? What kind of details can you kind of share? Is he actually cut out for this as a future head coach, or was he just the only option you had at this point?
Well, I think that he's a guy that was going to be on – if the Jets had a good year this year, Ulbrich's name would have come up for some head coaching openings. He's a guy who's a really good linebacker for the 49ers, really good. His career was cut short by concussions, but he was a very good instinctive linebacker. And the buzzword is accountability. Robert Saleh is such a nice guy, great human being. He just was one of those coaches, and I hate to criticize them because it's a good human trait to have empathy for your fellow man, but it's not the best when it comes to coaching this brutal sport of football and holding players accountable. And we all know what happened last year with Michael Clemens and Deion Dawkins in the tunnel coming off the field. And I'll give you an example of this was a moment where I like, whoa, I don't know about this situation with this coach and accountability. There were three things that happened 3 weeks in a row with Michael Clemens. One week it was against Buffalo. He had this scuffle in the tunnel against Deion Dawkins. And then they play Miami, and he gets into a fight, and an official gets bloodied. He gets thrown out of the game. To be fair, he didn't punch the official. The official got in the middle of a fight, but he was in a fight, thrown out of the game. Week later, Cleveland, he's dropping F-bombs at the crowd behind the bench. So a reporter asks Robert Saleh, what do you think of his behavior? And he goes, if you knew him like I knew him, you'd have no issue with anything he did.
Wow.
Let that quote sink in for a second, guys. I mean, could you ever hear Sean McDermott saying that? Like, I don't want to pick on Robert because he got fired, but that quote is like, wait a minute. Where's the accountability here? You can't act that way with the penalties that Clemens was drawing and fights in the tunnel. I mean, to me, an answer would be he's a good person. He means well, but he can't do those kind of things. How about that for an answer?
It's not what we're about. Yeah, of course. Dan, there is a missing piece to the defense, and the last time we talked to you, we thought we'd get resolution by this point, but we haven't gotten any resolution. In fact, it feels like it's a little murkier now than it was even then with him and his agency separating. What's the latest with Hassan Reddick? Is he going to play down for the Jets this season?
I've never covered a story like this in all my years covering the Jets. It's so weird that this is still going on. And why would you make a trade for a player who had a contract dispute with his prior team without resolving the contract dispute before you made the trade? That made absolutely no sense. So this is a weird story. Now it's about ego. I mean, this guy's been fined millions of dollars. Like you said, his agency dropped him, the powerhouse CAA. I think Joe Douglas is a good GM, and he's done a lot of good things. But I don't understand the concept that the one time he addressed the media on, he said, we tried to rectify the contract before the trade. We couldn't. And then we said to him, we made the trade. We said, come in here and work, and we'll see how it goes and try to work out a contract. You can't do that. You can't bring a guy in and say, if you work hard, we'll see how your contract works out. I mean, when you make a trade for contract dispute, how many times have we seen it? Like Brian Burns being traded from Carolina to the Giants, the defensive end, and before the trade's made and the draft picks are sent to Carolina, the contract was ironed out. So very weird story. Never seen anything like it. They certainly could use him. There's no doubt about it. But I think it's an ego thing right now with him.
Dan, we gave our picks earlier in the show. I'm actually picking the Jets, and I for many reasons, and I just think that one reason here, Buffalo is not coming in playing good football here in the last 2 weeks, and the injuries there are a lot of them for this Bills team. How do you view this matchup coming up Monday night?
Yeah, I think I like the Jets too. I think that even if you're not a believer in interim coaches, it's kind of like Andy Dalton went in for the Carolina Panthers. Obviously not a coach, but that 1 week spark you get. Sometimes you get that spark with the interim coach up front, and then it kind of fades, just like when you get that spark from the backup quarterback with Andy Dalton in that first game against the Raiders, and then it kind of faded. So I think whether you believe in interim coaches or not, I think they will benefit this week from changing up that position. There's going to be more accountability. That's just how Jeff is. So I think that'll help them. So I do think the Jets will win this game. How things go long term, I have no idea. But I think this week, obviously a very tough game when you face Josh Allen. Anytime you face Josh Allen, and Sean McDermott's a heck of a coach. But I think they win this game.
Defense rule of the day here. Do you think a low-scoring affair Monday night?
I don't know. It's hard to ever say that with Rodgers against Josh Allen. You know, when looking at the Jets' schedule, one thing that occurred to me and why I thought they'd have a good season, maybe win 11 games, was the quarterbacks. Because it's a quarterback-driven league, and while quarterbacks don't go head-to-head, so to speak, they really are as far as which quarterback's better. That often determines who wins the game. And so I was looking at the schedule because they don't play a lot of tough quarterbacks. And I went down, Knicks and all the different ones they faced. They faced New England after this. So the two Josh Allen games were the ones I'm like, those are the tough ones. So I can't see a low-scoring game between these two quarterbacks. And the Jets, you can run on the Jets. So I don't think it'll be low-scoring, but I do think the Jets will win.
Dan, tell everybody how they can subscribe to Jets Confidential. The phone number, 1-800-932-4557.
Look at that.
And by memory danger. And also, when is your next trip to Rochester?
Well, I will. I keep saying I wish the schedule would put the Buffalo game earlier in the year. It's not that I'm against the cold weather of Western New York. It's that it kind of screws up the Niagara Falls trip that I always like to mix in. So once again, why do they keep putting the game in December?
It's true.
I don't know. What is the reason for that? Why not put the Bills, let the game, what am I going to say?
We had a week one game against the Jets a few years back.
It was
let
COVID.
The early season. Yeah, let this game be in Buffalo and then the late season game be in New Jersey. But no, I will be coming up for the game this year in Buffalo. I promise, and there will be a stop in Rochester, either coming up or coming back to New Jersey. That is a promise. And like you said, Gene, to order the magazine, 1-800-932-4557. And as we often remind everyone when we bring that up, Rochester-based company for like a quarter of a century now.
Wow, makes you
Jets
feel
Confidential.
old. Makes you sound old, Dan.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of older gentlemen and older things, a man in Henrietta, New York, a friend of the family, Herbert Morris, big Bills fan, World War II veteran, turned 100 on Tuesday.
Wow.
All right.
So happy birthday to Herb Morris in Henrietta.
That's great. Love that. Dan, it's great having you on with us. Appreciate the time. Enjoy your weekend. Let's do it again soon, bud.
It's always great to be on with Gene and Reach.
That was coming.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Dan Leberfeld, Jets Confidential. Can't help himself. Sees my Twitter profile and my title, my Odyssey title, or regional brand manager. He calls me Reach. Reach. For short. Regional brand manager.
That is a
Reach
sign
for short.
Of acceptance.
I love
when
him.
Somebody can needle you like that.
No, he's the best. And even though he's predicting a Jets win, we still love him. You're predicting a Jets win. It's.
I like the Andy Dalton analogy, though.
That you get a spark.
You get a spark.
Yeah, but you're not changing quarterbacks. That's part of why I like the Bills. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been good.
You're changing the play calling, though. And if you're like your question about Hall, like what's up with the running game? All right, let's try something.
Maybe.
different.
I mean, look, I think if Hall can't get it done against the Bills defense that's shown they've struggled with teams that can run the football. See Baltimore, even first half against Arizona. I mean, he should be able to get over.
If there's one thing that is fishy here, the Bills are still favored by 2.5. With all these injuries, with the Bills losing their last year, with everything kind of, hey, all this newness around the Jets. I mean, that's the one thing I slam on the brakes like, whoa.
Well, let's get into it a little bit more. We'll talk about that injury report from today's walkthrough practice. Happy hour is next on the Fan. We have time for your calls if you want to pull up a stool. 585-866-4FAN. In fact, call that number now in the sports bar, 585-866-4326. And we'll give you a free pair of tickets to see Tom Segura come together. That's Sunday, May 25th, 2025. He's coming to the Kodak Center in 2025. Tom Segura. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Win a free pair just for listening to the Fan Rochester when you call 866-4FAN. Caller 5 gets those seats now on the Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. WNBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Welcome to the beginning of a great sports weekend. It begins tonight here on the Fan Rochester. Opening night for the Rochester Americans as their head coach Mike Leone talks about the opponent.
You know, they're a team where you got to earn it and you got to play the right way. They're physical. They're really good on the D side of the puck, and so it'd be a good test for us tonight.
Amherst and Belleville. Don Stevens will have your call tonight beginning at 7 here on The Fan. Friday injury report for the Buffalo Bills, the same as the Thursday injury report, today being just a walkthrough. Guardians and Tigers tomorrow. That's been moved up to 1 o'clock. This because of impending weather. Winner faces the Yankees in the ALCS. Dodgers and Padres play Game 5 tonight. The winner to face the Mets in the NLCS. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The Bills can't lose this game, guys, can they? I'm not buying into this whole total boost because they fired Robert Saleh. I think this locker room's a mess. I think this Jets team is a flawed team right now, and the coach takes the fall for it. But I don't know how much firing him fixes things.
Mike Danger.
I expect a bounce back. The guy's never lost 3 games in a row as a starter in this league, and I don't think it's going to happen on Monday. I don't think they're going to lose their 3rd in a row to drop to 3-3.
Gene Battaglia.
I just expect a real low-scoring game. Don't turn the ball over because guess what? The Jets, sooner or later, with that old man, they're going to cough it up. Who cares how you win this game? That's all you have to do. Find a way. Does not matter. That should just be enough to carry you in this game. You don't have to match the Jets point for point.
Amherst, Belleville, tonight at 7.
Long shot. They score!
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
And congratulations to LJ for picking up those Tom Segura tickets next week in the Sports Bar. We should mention Disturbed with Daughtry coming to KeyBank Center in 2025, April 4th. And those tickets on sale next Friday, 10 a.m. at livenation.com. We'll have free tickets for you before you can buy them all next week in the Sports Bar. Free tickets to see Disturbed next week here on The Fan. We welcome you back in. It's happy hour on The Fan Rochester in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us. And what might be the best sports weekend on the calendar? You say might be the best sports weekend ever.
Well, Monday. Like, I'm lumping in Monday, and some people may be lucky enough that this is a 3-day weekend. You know, Indigenous people / Columbus Day, whatever you want to call it.
Kids are home from school.
Right. And, you know, I would think that, government, there are some services that won't be available on Monday. And, oh, my gosh, you have the Mets versus who at 4 o'clock. You've got the Yankees versus who at 7:30. You've got the Bills and Jets. But before that, a whole day on Sunday where you can just kind of lay out and watch the NFL, hopefully stress-free. But even tomorrow feels kind of great, Danger. Like with those like USC and Penn State, and you've got Ohio State, Oregon, you got Notre Dame tomorrow. Oh, let's start it tonight. You've got fantastic matchup, Dodgers and Padres, Game 5 in LA. Who's not down for that? Oh, and we also have Amherst hockey tonight. As you want to do something local, that should be a lot of fun. Tickets remaining for that. So go check out this team. Which, look, separate the Sabres and the Amherst.
Please,
the Amherst.
We're begging you. We're begging you to separate the Sabres and the Amherst because we'll have a lot of positive things, we hope, to talk about with the Amherst this season as we have for several seasons now. But, man, after what we saw last night in the home opener for the Sabres, it doesn't feel any different to me. I mean, Lindy Ruff maybe a little bit sharper in his comments after the game and well-spoken and you know, certainly should be because he's been around the block. But, man, I need to see more out of the guy that wears a C on his chest. That's your captain giving up a turnover early in the 3rd period, giving up a lead. It can't happen. It's inexcusable, in my opinion.
Danger, I feel that the people. Okay, everybody, we're coming back to football.
Yeah, we're done.
Done
we're
with
done.
Hockey,
That's
done
it.
with
I'm
Sabre
done.
talk.
Rant over. I mean, like that's it. And the Amherst, we're very positive. We're very optimistic, and they get their season underway against Belleville tonight at Blue Cross Arena. Mike Leone joined us earlier this week in the Sports Bar.
Yeah, so love, and we'll talk to Mike Leone every Tuesday here in the Sports Bar. The Friday injury report for the Bills. There's no surprises here, Danger. Like, the media wasn't allowed on site today, so it was just a walkthrough, and they put out the same exact injury report is yesterday. It's tomorrow where they have to put the status on everybody. So to kind of review to date, we haven't had Khalil Shakir, James Cook, Ed Oliver practice this week. It wouldn't surprise me at all if all three are ruled out tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you can get by without Oliver. I like what we've seen out of Carter in a small sample size. I think you can be okay if Cook can't go. I think you'll get something out of Ty Johnson and Ray Davis in the run game if those are your only two options. Shakir makes me nervous. Not having Shakir, again, makes me nervous for Josh Allen and his decision-making and Josh Allen and what he can actually throw to. And I know it's something we've said over and over again, but these guys need to step up. I mean, they just need to step up. And to hear the coach say next man up mentality as much as we do, it's like, all right, well, next man up might not be very good. That's my concern. If next man up isn't capable of doing the things you need them to do.
I think that it's not true across the team. That's what we've learned, okay? And in a little short burst, it was okay in the secondary. I think linebacker Dorian Williams or Matt Milano. Okay, Matt Milano's an all-pro, but Dorian Williams hasn't been bad. He's made plays. At wide receiver, like, shoulder shrug emoji. What are we doing here? Like, that's the one. Shakir, when you plucked him off, there hasn't been anybody stepping up. So can Josh Allen recalibrate? Can the Bills be smarter on offense? Can they just kind of take – I mean, the positive here is, and you heard my rant that Dan DeLorean plugged in the open. Yeah, are the Jets this team that's going to move up and down the field where all of a sudden you're finding yourselves in a 14-point hole, in a 17-point hole? You were down by 2 scores again last week, and you nearly pulled that out. I don't think they're that team. However, I'm not so confident the Bills are going to move the ball at all. I think that the Jets will get that sugar buzz. And I'm sorry, spoiler alert, picking the Bills at 10-7 in the year, I'm going to stick with 10-7. I think this is a loss here. And it's not going to harm the Bills ultimately in their quest to win the division. You're just facing a team that kind of pushed all their chips in knowing, hey, we've got Aaron Rodgers. This isn't working. Let's try something new. I think it's a sugar buzz game for the Jets, and they win.
We haven't talked a lot about turnovers this season with the Bills. They've had some, but they, when they happen, like the Ravens game, it happened at an inopportune time. And you could say, oh, well, that killed any chance that they had of making the comeback that they were on the path towards making. I remember week 1, there was a fumble, and it was bad. It was bad, Josh. But it didn't cost you. You had a couple of decisions against Houston where you thought to yourself, oh, those should have been picked off.
Hey, bottom line is, like, if you told me, hey, entering week 6 that Josh would not have thrown a pick yet.
You're taking that.
Are you saying that we're overdue?
Well, I'm saying that if history repeats itself, it was that week 1 game against the Jets where Josh Allen was just sloppy. He was just sloppy with the football and forcing it and not taking what the defense was giving him. And those turnovers will cost you. They haven't really cost the Bills in a meaningful or significant way so far this year. And you've been able to get some timely turnovers. I mean, the only reason why you're still in that Houston game at the end is because of the turnovers that your defense, the takeaways that your defense was able to produce. So I think that if you're the Jets, that's all you're focused on, man. Get to that guy, force him to make mistakes, rattle him, take the ball away. If the Jets do win the way you're predicting, it's because of those turnovers. It's because Josh made the wrong choice, or having Ty Johnson in there rather than James Cook resulted in costly fumbles, or Ray Davis makes a rookie mistake, or Keon Coleman makes a rookie mistake, right? Like, those are the things that make me nervous. But I'm still taking the Bills to win and cover 2017. I don't think that points are going to be I think points are going to be at a premium. I think it's going to be a challenge. I think it is going to be more of a defensive struggle. And Leberfeld, who joined us last hour, Dan Leberfeld of Jets Confidential, believes it could be a high-scoring game. I just don't see the Jets offense getting right against this Bills defense, because it's a Bills defense that's getting healthier this week. You've got Taylor Rapp.
That's true.
You've got Taron Johnson back. You've got Terrell Bernard back, and he's already made plays since that pec injury. So I feel confident in the Bills defense to slow down the Jets offense. If you're worried about the Bills offense against the Jets defense, I would say you still have the better quarterback in this matchup.
You still have the better head coach in this matchup. The Bills should win this game on Monday night.
I've heard what Dan said, and the question you got to ask, like, what hand did Aaron Rodgers have in this? And most Jets reporters are saying not anything when it comes to. I would beg to differ. He is a manipulator. And Aaron, by the way, it's my opinion. You can come try to sue me. You can't, because it's my opinion. I think you're a manipulator. I think you manipulated the situation. And as much as you say you love the sun and everything, and this is a really sad day, this is what you wanted. This is now Aaron Rodgers' team. So time to kind of do something. He in a short burst here, Danger. I'm afraid we're going to see a little more of the vintage Aaron Rodgers and pulling it out.
I need to see it. I mean, we saw it for a moment in the Patriots game earlier this year, but, man, he's missed horribly on a lot of throws. He's just been bad. He's just not been a good quarterback. And so if he does that against the Bills defense, then I have serious questions about the Bills defense. I will worry defensively for the Bills if Breece Hall has a game. If Breece Hall gets it going in the run game, if they figure out a way to utilize Breece Hall, and Breece Hall is running all over the Bills' run defense, which we've seen happen in the past where this run defense gets gashed, that would be concerning to me. But, McDermott has also shown defensively that they can make adjustments, and they did it against Houston. You gave up the big play, but you didn't really give up a lot after that big play against the Texans just last week. So I'm still a believer here that the better team will win this game. You could say that the Jets are a more talented roster on paper, and I would listen to that because there are some talented players on that team, but I don't know that there's cohesion. I don't know that there's alignment. I certainly know that there are fractures because they just fired their head coach. So I don't think that the Jets are going to have enough to overtake the Bills here. I will go with the Bills 2017 on Monday night.
We had a statement regarding Josh Allen today.
Oh,
and there's been a follow-up
statement regarding Josh Allen. Did he get in trouble? What happened with Josh Allen?
Well, he missed 6 minutes and 6 seconds. He was cleared to return. Was never actually technically in the protocol, but when you looked and it looked like he was knocked out, it got a lot of people to ask questions. Wait a second.
We saw his head bounce off the turf. It looked like his head was spiked after a touchdown.
This was a joint statement from the NFL and the NFLPA that we have reviewed reports from the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant and booth spotters, and those reports confirmed that steps were taken required by the concussion protocol. They were followed in the evaluation and clearance of Bills quarterback Josh Allen in last Sunday's game.
If you did nothing wrong, why are you issuing a statement?
Well, what's funny here is then there was a little additional line here from Tom Pelissero putting this out. Pelissero reporting that there was no loss of consciousness for Josh Allen.
Okay.
I don't know. Did he need a few minutes there just to kind of relax on the field?
I think when he was on the field, it's hard for us to say that we could say that he got knocked out or not. I mean, it kind of looked like he did, but I'll give you that. Okay, well, let's just say, okay, maybe he didn't lose consciousness at any point where his head was spiked off the turf. And let's say because he didn't lose consciousness, that bodes well for him to be able to clear any sort of concussion protocol when they check him out. I just don't believe that they did the kind of thorough checkup that you need to do in order to determine whether or not he was safe to go back in there. And it's sad. It's sad because I don't want Josh Allen, who many people view as a hero, to be down the road for us to view our hero as like, oh man, what a sad story. What a tragic story. Josh Allen is losing his memory, or Josh Allen is not the same personality he was when he was a star for the Buffalo Bills. It's sad. And I don't want to see that happen to him or to any player in the NFL.
This is so predictable today, Danger. They had to cover their backside. The NFL did. Why the NFLPA is, we'll kind of side up with you on this. The NFLPA, I think you back away from this, or you defend your player on this.
Well, I don't know that this is something where they have to issue the joint statement. They have to both appear in line and aligned in the fallacy of player safety. This is all to show, no, we believe in our protocols, and we have these protocols in place. We're here to keep the players safe. So when Josh Allen comes to the sideline, and it's a guy in a red hat, right? That's the independent neuro trauma specialist, right?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick.
Let's go to the blue tent. Let's check and see how you're feeling. I don't buy it, man. I do not buy it.
Dr. Nick is the neuroscientist.
Yeah. That's who you're going to on the sideline. It's the guy that they hired, and he's good. You can trust him.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick.
Get that blue tent up. If you did nothing wrong, why is there a statement? I just think the statement just kind of shows we're questioning it for good reason.
Yeah.
And they're telling us with the statement, no, don't question it. Nothing to see here. Oh, there is.
It's the shutdown, because if, heaven forbid, there's another concussion or anything like that this week, then you have to create the paper trail that this was put out. This closes everything. And I know there's some people in the media that says, okay, can we kind of move on? No, we can't, because guess what? Josh Allen plays a physical brand of football. So my question is, what happens the next time? What happens the next time?
Yeah, we move on from things very quickly in the NFL. We forget things. It's hard to retain information because there's so much getting thrown at us every single day, every single minute. There are new stories, there are new narratives, there are things to follow up on. There's curiosities to explore and to go deeper, and angles to go deeper in. And you know, we talked about it earlier in the week, but we haven't really brought it up since earlier in the week, the idea that Josh Allen may have been concussed in the Houston game. But by issuing the statement today, here we are once again talking about it. So I think we will remember that Josh Allen.
No, I think the reason they did this, Danger, is just so to shut down anything that if he were to suffer a concussion, this week, next week, whenever. Well, this is no, it wasn't. Look at our statement.
No different.
No.
To me, this is no different than what the Dolphins did with Tua the first time he was concussed against the Bills. This feels very much like it's not a concussion; it's an ankle. Oh, it's not a concussion; it's his chest. Whatever it was. We all have eyes. We all saw his head violently bounce off the turf and him not get up from that. That's his ankle? It's his chest? Okay. Yes, player safety. You guys are all about it. We will just lap it up. You're throwing out a statement? Great. Congratulations on following the protocol. I don't believe you.
By the way, protocol, I will always point this out. It's a system. The NFL is feeding you wordplay on this. We have a system in place. But, they don't say that, Danger. Why? Because we really want to take it seriously. Where else in the world do you use the word protocol? Washington, D.C. or something with the president. Military. Yeah. That is like the word. It is so serious, the concussion protocol. It's a effing system. It's not a protocol. Wordplay. Underrated. The NFL is king of PR. They really are.
They will control the narrative. I mean, we went over this a couple of weeks ago with the Von Miller suspension. I mean, it wasn't a coincidence that they announced the Von Miller suspension when they did. There was playoff baseball going on. It was the end of the day. Devontae Adams trade talks. It just bubbled up to a fever pitch. Let's slide this in under and not talk about what it was that got him suspended other than to say personal conduct policy.
Yeah, and then the Bills asked about it. Well, we really can't comment on that. It's a league decision.
That's
we
right.
abide by that.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, we don't want to go back over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's dirty. It's gross. I don't like it. I hate that statement. I feel for Josh Allen. I know that he, at this point in his career and his point in his life, he's probably not thinking anything about the long-term effects of those kind of head blows. But
go talk to Brett Favre.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes me sad about the situation is that player safety is a farce. There is no player safety. They don't care about player safety. They do not care about player safety. They care about getting him out there on the field after the turnover. Trubisky got in one play, and you saw him scrambling out of the blue tent to get back on the field for the next play.
They don't care about player safety. They care about lawsuits. They care about lawsuits.
They don't want another massive $1 billion settlement.
No, right? This covers everything. Yeah. It's airtight. You can't sue us. Sorry. You brought up Davante Adams, and I'm sorry this is a non-story unless you think that Davante Adams following Josh Allen is a sign.
Oh, really?
That something's going to happen. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, just quiz. When has anything having to do with a player on social media ever materialized? Cryptic or otherwise? Is there an instance that you could think of? I mean, you could say, Diggs always kind of like was cryptic and,
went on so long.
Found a way to work his way out of those situations. But like, we just went through this last week with the same player putting something out there for Edgar Allan Poe, right?
Well, maybe, ironically, that when somebody had a post that Davante Adams played his last game for the Raiders and was liked by head coach Antonio Pierce. Okay, maybe that kind of pushed the story along. But you're talking about a player who did something on social media and that was foreshadowing a move. Just like how, I don't know, DeAndre Hopkins foreshadowing a move when he tweeted out lyrics to Buffalo Soldier, or he foreshadowed his move to Buffalo when he was in Toronto. Oh, that's right. None of that ever happened.
Yeah. He would love, by the way, Davante Adams would love to follow Josh Allen, would love to play for the Bills because right now he's miserable. Right now, he hates where he is. He doesn't like his coach. He doesn't like his team. He wants out.
Well, and again, I'm going to go right to what I said about Hopkins way back when, because we heard this. Well, if he wants to win, he will come.
They don't care. They don't care about winning. They want money.
You cannot trade for Davante Adams if you were the Buffalo Bills without sitting down with his representation and working out a new deal. That's a fact. You would have to go to some team with gobs of cap money, and I don't see the Patriots or anybody else in that boat actually making that move. So the team that trades for Davante Adams, it's not about the compensation that you're giving the Raiders. It's about the compensation you're giving Mr. Adams. And so Mr. Adams is probably looking at the situation, hey, Buffalo really needs me. You know what? They might be willing to write a check. I don't think so. No. Not when we're PSL hell in Buffalo. Really? You're going to go right?
Yeah, the idea that you could get him as a rental for a year, I would sign up for. If you're having to work out a new deal and it's a long-term deal in the process of making this trade, no.
That's why rental danger, Deontay Johnson, Amari Cooper, these are the other ones that just – look, their bodies, they're better than Mac Hollins.
Deontay Johnson does nothing for me. I'll just say it. I know we keep bringing his name up. I don't think he's good. I think he's on the same level as a Curtis Samuel or an MVS. I don't think he can hold on to a football. I don't think he can catch a cold. I'm not impressed by Deontay. He's speed, but we've got that. I'm not impressed by Deontay Johnson. Cooper is interesting to me. But not long term. Not long term. And maybe with a little fire lit under their asses, the wide receivers play better this year. Maybe this week you see more out of Coleman. You see more out of Sam. I just, for what we were sold on Curtis Samuel, it's mind-blowing to me that they don't know how to use Curtis Samuel.
This is a Joe Brady thing.
Yeah.
It's a Joe Brady thing. And you could say, well, Allen, threw a bad pass on the screen. I'll listen to that. But tell me about the rest of the play for Curtis Samuel this year outside of that one play that you're referencing. Yeah, Keon Coleman, I think, kind of what we expected, right? Can I tell you he's going to be this dynamic receiver here in 2 years? No, I cannot. But as far as a rookie, okay.
Hey, I have an idea. Just a bold suggestion, and I don't know that they'll do this, but coming out of Florida State, a lot of the draft scouts and draft experts that we talk to mention that Keon Coleman's strength as a receiver is actually when he's in the slot, a big slot.
Yeah.
Like what you have in Detroit with Amon-Ra St. Brown when he's in the slot. And
Then you're wondering, wait a second, that's Shakir.
Right.
Shakir's not here.
Right. Can we see that? I mean, like if we're worried about this offense and we want to throw a wrinkle at the Jets defense, this scary, vaunted Jets defense, why not put him in play to his strengths? If that's truly, according to our draft experts, one of his strengths, a position of strength for Keon Coleman playing as a big slot, when you know that they're going to try and take away Dalton Kincaid and you don't have Khalil Shakir, can we see that? I would love to see that on Monday night.
Last week, we had the elevation of Tyrell Shavers. It shouldn't surprise anybody that Shavers was a non-factor, okay? He's a Pittsburgh All-Star. That's all he is. That's all he will ever be. I'm sorry. Can we try KJ Hamler, Danger? Just for something different? Like, why is he on the practice squad? Just run fast down the field and take a shot over the top.
But that's my problem. I don't really want them to go over the top. I don't really want them to go outside the numbers. It's not working outside the numbers.
No, they've got to try it, though.
It's not working downfield.
You have to try it. Once or twice a game, you have to try it.
Once or twice a game. They were throwing at an impossible clip against Houston downfield. And outside the numbers isn't working. It needs to be.
They were trying with Mac Hollins. Yeah. That's not it. How would you define Mac Hollins as a receiver?
I mean, I like his TikTok content. Lots of life hacks. You know, funny guy.
He can fix your hot water heater. Yeah. He can do a lot of things.
Yeah, I like Mac Hollins.
Mac Hollins is a
Mac Hollins, the dude, is a good dude.
You would love to have Mac Hollins your neighbor. You would love your daughter to date Mac Hollins.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, I don't want him as
He's
wide
a good dude who's
5.
never had more than 19 receptions in his career in a season. That's the guy we're going to lean on. Let's see a little bit more out of Coleman and figure out how to use Curtis Samuel. My God, I thought that's why you brought him in here, is that you knew how to use that guy to get him out in space. None of these guys can get separations. You got to get creative. Let's work on it. We'll do the heavy lift on Monday afternoon, the whole 1 hour show in the sports bar, and we'll stretch it out until 4 o'clock for pregame on Monday night.
Could be kind of a Mets pregame there too, Danger. Am I allowed? I have a weekend where I can just sit around and smile and reflect and enjoy.
If you're just joining us in the sports bar, since the Mets advanced to the NLCS, he is no longer Eugene Battaglia. He is new Gene Battaglia. New outlook on life, new attitude, new perspective.
You were expecting me to come in and mouth off to Catalana and Philly fans or to Fates or anything. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. I have respect for them. And it's a tough road ahead.
You have respect for them now that your team is winning. You had no respect for them when your team was losing. That's what's hilarious about this whole thing. They're winning, and I'm happy for you. But, for the sake of the sports bar, it kind of sucks. So,
No. Why would you say that?
I said that I'm happy for you. I said that I'm happy. But it's better for the show when you're mouthing off. It's better for the show when they're trying to, get on your
Mike
skin.
Catalana, 1 run.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's
yeah. This is better for the show.
By the way, where's Mr. Mouth Fates? Where's Mr. Mouth Catalana? Like Catalana, great showing by the Phillies this week. 1 run.
Stop, Gene. Stop, Gene.
Yes, Mets brave. Let's do this.
Don't do this to
the
yourself.
Mets are really. That was not one of my finer moments, Danger. I've learned from this.
That's good.
Can grow. I'm in a growth mindset as a fan.
It's growth mindset. Good for you, Gene. Again,
I'm new Gene.
Not Eugene Battaglia, new Gene Battaglia. We've got a round of shots next on The Fan.
We will set you up for a great sports weekend, right? Baseball tonight. There's been a change in the schedule we got to pay attention to tomorrow. We've got college football to set you up for. And that's it. No more Bob Costas this postseason. But he did leave us with one final mind bender last night.
Yeah, this is fantastic. This guy. We'll get to a round of shots. And last call coming up as well, 866-4FAN if you want to pull up a stool. 585-866-4326.
Sports Update.
Busy sports weekend beginning tonight. Downtown, opening night for the Rochester Americans taking on Belleville. The new captain is Mason Yobst.
The guys that have been here know what to expect. They're a hardworking, physical team. We kind of got to look at them a little bit when we played Ottawa in the preseason. They had a decent-sized group, I think, of this Belleville team, and they played the same way. Hard-nosed, blue-collar type style of hockey, and coaches have done a good job of preparing us to play against this team, and we should be ready.
Don Stevens has your call tonight here on the Fan Rochester beginning at 7. RIT hockey this weekend beginning tonight at Mercyhurst. Friday injury report for the Buffalo Bills, same as yesterday, today being just a walkthrough. Guardians and Tigers tomorrow, that's been moved up to 1 o'clock. That's because of impending weather. Dodgers and Padres playing Game 5 tonight. Gene Battaglia and the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
The best local sports talk in the Flower City. One Bills Live in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Weekday afternoons on The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour continues in the Sports Bar. Thanks for listening on The Fan. We appreciate you checking out the stream, our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe there or on our Twitch stream as well. Twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester. And you can always get us in the free-to-download Odyssey app and your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan.
We're now 8 wins away from a Subway Series. Congratulations to the New York Yankees and their fans. They joined the Mets to reach the LCS round. Garrett Cole was masterful. 1 run, 7 innings. This one wasn't in question. New York taking Game 4, 3-1. The game over the Royals. New York winning the series 3-1 over the Royals. So now the Yankees await the winner, a Guardians-Tigers. As we mentioned in the update, that first pitch was supposed to be 8 o'clock tomorrow night. It's been moved up to 1 o'clock because of the rain. Scooball getting the ball for Detroit. I'm not sure who's getting the call for. Let me just check if they made that announcement here, Danger. As Cleveland, they're going to start Matthew Boyd tomorrow, 1:08 on TBS, the deciding Game 5 in Ohio.
Okay.
The Mets heading west, but we'll find out tonight whether it's L.A. or San Diego. Yu Darvish of the Padres going against Yoshinobu Yamamoto of the Dodgers. L.A. minus 155 in the money line. The network, this game gets the network treatment tonight. 8 p.m. on Fox, the winner to host Game 1 of the NLCS. That's Sunday night, so you will have that going head-to-head against Bengals and Giants. And then Game 2 will be 4:08 Eastern time, first pitch on Monday.
Monday is just going to be ridiculous. Monday afternoon into Monday night with everything that's going on. Mets, Yankees, Bills, Jets. I mean, crazy. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it feels like college football is an appetizer here, Danger, and it's really a great Saturday of college football, too, highlighted by one of these new conference games that this looks different. Penn State is in L.A. to face USC. 3:30 tomorrow on CBS. Other games in the late afternoon window include number 11 Notre Dame hosting Stanford on NBC. The number 1 team in the country will be Quinn Ewers in Texas playing number 18 Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry game. Say that 5 times fast. Primetime includes Ohio State, number 2 in the country, against number 3 Oregon, 7 o'clock on CBS. ABC has number 9 Ole Miss and number 13 LSU. By the way, Syracuse on the road tomorrow, 8 o'clock on the ACC network against NC State.
All of these games, all of them. Like, I want a piece of all of them. All of them look appetizing. I want to watch all of them. And I just can't do it. I mean, Texas, Oklahoma, I think is going to be an absolute blast. Ohio State, Oregon, are you kidding me? And, of course, Penn State in the Coliseum playing USC.
What percentage? Because Penn State, their alumni base will come. Penn State, hey, we're going to go to one road game. Let's go to this one. Like, what do you think the percentage is going to be? I think there's going to be tens of thousands of Nittany Lion fans out there tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will travel and show up well. And USC looking to bounce back after a disappointing loss to – oh, no, they didn't lose to the Golden Gophers, did they? Oh, no. Oh, the Gophers beat the USC. All for cute.
Only the Sabres could debut their new goal song on a goal that didn't count. Zach Benson's putback happened after time expired. You can clearly tell that when it happened. By the way, Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue is the song you'll hear when the Sabres score at home. Yeah. They like that in 1991. Buffalo allowing the natural hat trick to Anze Kopitar in the third. Sabres falling 3-1 to the Kings. Buffalo now 0-3, opening up the season. Florida coming into town tomorrow night. You'll hear that on 96.5 WCMF, but listen anyway. We've got the Amerks tomorrow night.
Yeah.
They play at Utica.
You have the C on your chest. You're being held to a higher standard. I know Rasmus Dahlin can be a special player, but he can also be a really, really bad player. We've seen him make some really, really bad, boneheaded plays. He doesn't have excuses anymore. He's been in the league a long time now. Waiting. You're the captain. You can't turn over the puck early in the third, leading to that first Kings goal. You just can't. You set the tone. You set the example. I was so pissed off at that play. There's just no excuse. Deserve to lose that game. See if they bounce back. I mean, look, Lindy Ruff he's been through this kind of crap before. So if anybody can get a team through it, I would imagine it's this head coach. But
it was one of those games analytically, like, how did the Sabres lose this? If they keep this up, they'll be fine. Okay, well,
yeah. Close a door. You had so many opportunities early in that game, and you couldn't close. It was more of the same and disappointing to say the least.
Finally, going back to baseball, it's the ninth inning. Yankee fans, you got to be feeling good, right? Can you close this out? Well, you got to deal with the top of the ninth. The Yankees on their way to the ALCS. That's when Bob Costas decides to give you a bit about Aaron Boone and Kevin Bacon.
We were talking with Aaron Boone before the game, and I said to him, that game, that movie game, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, how supposedly you can connect anybody who's ever been in the film business to Kevin Bacon in 6 moves or less. I said, you won't even need 6 moves to connect Aaron Boone to almost everybody, certainly since the midpoint of the 20th century, which goes back to his grandfather with the Cleveland Indians in 1948, his brother Brett, and his dad Bob Boone, who played toward the end of his illustrious career as a Gold Glove catcher and later was a manager, played with the Royals in the last 2 years of his career, 89 and 90. And Boone remembers
there's a game happening, by the way.
Royals team with George Brett and Brett Saberhagen and Bo Jackson and Kevin
Let's get one more pitch in
here.
here.
So the clubhouse guy here goes into a closet and comes up with Bob Boone's powder blue 1990 Kansas City Royals uniform and gives it to Boone. I'm telling you, just name anybody.
That's right.
And not only can you connect Boone to him, Boone probably has a story about them and probably has some sort of friendship with them.
3 or 4 pitches?
4.
Four
pitches.
pitches.
I thought it was okay. To kind of surmise, it's Alex Verdugo at the plate. Granted, the game you're feeling like it's decided, but the Yankees want an insurance run. Here, let me summarize for you, Bob. And I'm sorry to Michael Kay and anybody else. How dare I criticize Bob? Hey, Aaron Boone, here's a cool story. Like, he was walking down, and the clubhouse manager, somehow they left behind his dad's uniform. He played here in 1980. That took, 10 seconds?
Well, I was going to say, I want to congratulate Bob Costas for getting that story told in 65 seconds. It only took 4 pitches for him to tell that story. I think that's growth. That's growth mindset right there as well. I think he's getting better. And just in time for his last game in the postseason.
Correct. Costas does not get the assignment for the ALCS. It's Brian Anderson with Ron Darling and Jeff Francoeur. Look, wouldn't you want, if he's great, wouldn't you want him? It's the same network. Yeah. Why aren't they putting him on there?
That's amazing. 65 seconds to tell a story while the game is happening, and it's still very much a game. There's a lot to play for. Let me give you 65 seconds on Aaron Boone and the 6 Degrees of Separation game with Kevin Bacon. Just whatever. All right, well, the Yanks get the win, and you mentioned at the top, 8 wins away from a Subway Series. That would be amazing. It would be so much fun. We'd be talking a lot of baseball in the sports bar if we get a Subway Series, Gino.
What if we got one of the two? I still think we're talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And both teams have been a lot of fun all season long.
I think the Padres get this done tonight, Danger.
Okay.
And I'm going to say the Guardians get it done.
All right.
Skubal on the mound even.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll be here Monday for the heavy lift. 1 hour Monday afternoon from 3 until 4 as we get you into Bills pregame, Monday Night Football, Bills and Jets. And we'll have a reaction to all of this weekend's action. This is a fantastic weekend of sports in the Flower City, whether you're thinking about the Amherst tonight, you want to watch some college football tomorrow, Major League Baseball postseason, a full slate of NFL games, starting with the London game at 9:30. I mean, then you got Monday Night Football to wrap it all up.
Fantastic.
So we will be here Monday afternoon. If you missed Dan Leberfeld of Jets Confidential or Andy Barons of Yahoo Fantasy, go ahead and download the free-to-download Odyssey.